Hey, welcome back to another Hump Day show with the hockey coach, Coach Frenchy, directly for the beautiful Kingdom of Animal and Thailand. Hopefully, an amazing, great week so far on the November 5th, 2025. And glad to see Larry Lavalley back in the house. Larry Lavalley left a couple of days from upstate New York or upstate New York, left the election behind him, the new mayor in New York, everything like that. And they said, "Well, I get out of New York, me. I'm going to be in Arizona." And look like everything looked good. Larry, to see that safe at home and ready to enjoy the next 6 months with the great weather. And of course, in Arizona, our friend Barry Franklin Maravich is Appalachian Junction, I believe, in Arizona. So glad to see you, my friend Larry. Thanks to be with us. I appreciate a lot. And I can wait to hear more about how everything looked good for you. Billy from Nova Scotia knocked it out. PS is ready to rock and roll. PS make a lot of comments. I need to check that a little bit later. Ovechkin scored a goal tonight. His third of the season. I gave him, I believe, now 900 goal. Every time I put someone on my show to talk about, and then there's something happening. Anyway, Phantom, Stratocaster. Hey, Coach. Oh, is a lot more embarrassment to come. Welcome, Phantom. Larry, again, like I said to you, welcome. RJ Calabro with news and update. Mr. RJ have only 5 games on the Wednesday night in NHL. Toronto lead 2-1 against the Mammoth. Mammoth will be in Montreal Saturday night. The Washington lead now 2-0 against the Blues. 3 more games a little bit later. We're going to talk about this a bit in the show. Mr. Nartap knocked the door. Welcome back, Mr. Nartap. Glad to hear from you. And happy Hump Day, Habs. Of course, can wait to talk with our friend Marko Larabi the next few seconds. Here you go, guys. The 900 goal is officially in the NHL. Alex Ovechkin, everybody right there celebrate on the ice for the Washington Capitals. Empty bench. Here we go. We have Guy. Welcome back, my friend Guy. M&M, knock the ball. Roger Bouchard, notre ami Roger, est avec nous ce soir. And, of course, Runway Kings knocked the door with his big W of the Los Angeles Kings yesterday. 3-0. They're looking a little bit better, the Kings now. And it was a great game, a couple of great games yesterday in NHL. The Colorado against Tampa Bay was an excellent game. What about the Anaheim Ducks? If you love to watch Montreal Canadiens, I would say to you, which team I would like, I should watch, coach, the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks were now played solid hockey, fun to watch, excited to watching them, all dressed up in orange, by the way. That's pretty cool. That was very successful for Monte last night. Larry Lavalley, thanks and our tap, everybody. And of course, he is back with us, ready to talk about the Montreal Canadiens. A lot of things to talk about tonight at this show at the Home Day. And Mr. Marko Larabi is in the house tonight.
Yes, sir. Happy Wednesday. Hello, Habs Nation. It's Wednesday, which means it's hump day, halfway through the week. For those of us who have menial jobs and look forward to the weekend, it's that time. So lots of fun on hump day, Coach. Lots of, as you know, what we do on Habs Hump Day is we take a look at how the Montreal Canadiens are trending and are they going to get over the hump? That's kind of the theme of our show. So lots of exciting things to talk about. We're going to talk about the last couple games, talk about some things that we're noticing. So look forward to connecting with everybody in the chat. Ask us some questions. It should be a lot of fun tonight, guys.
Great point about this. Talking about middle of the week, and one guy is always happy about that. Marco is Billy. Billy, he check every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the Mammoth tied the game. Ex-Montreal Canadien, nice. Mikhail Sergachev scored a goal. And I don't know, this is the first point in the NHL, but Smashev got an assist on that one. I don't know if he scored before that, but
no, it's his first point. That's definitely his first point.
There we go. That's great to see that for him, for Sergachev. And the 5-0 of Solar. So, oof. Oh, it was not pretty on that one. 3-0, the Capitals. As you said, Anthony Beauvillier scored his second goal. 3 assists tonight for Chick Run for the Capitals on the 3 goal. About that, 2 days to go. Coach from Billy. So thanks everybody to be part of the show. Don't forget, please, to click on the like. Of course, tonight we're going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens. And the subject, I said, Martin Zouy was upset during the first period, honestly, and I think the fans was also upset. I'm going to give you a little bit the reason why he was upset, and like we do at the beginning of the show, Marco, together, and we talk about we have headlines to sharing, and we're going to go right there, and you're going to start with the first one, and let me know what is all about.
Yeah, coach. So I think all of us really listen carefully when Martin Saint Louis does his post game press conferences, and there's some of the it's almost kind of like reading a book. Sometimes you have to go back and listen for subconscious things or subliminal things that he's saying. And there's a couple of to me, I love this because it's a very subtle thing. Like most people might not notice that he said this, but when he was talking about kind of it was probably our worst game of the season, and instead of saying, most people would say we need to bounce back, but he talked about bouncing forward, and that to me is just, I know it doesn't sound like a big thing, but it's these subtle little turns of phrase, subtle little kind of like mindset things that Martin Saint Louis brings to the table all the time. And so I just thought it was a good, a game like last night, coach, I think is a good opportunity for Martin Saint Louis, right? Like, I think it's actually great timing because they're going to be playing New Jersey next, probably one of the hottest teams in the league. And it's good. It's good teaching material for Martin Saint Louis. And if there's one thing that we've learned about him is that, en français, il dit, faut toujours écouter la vérité des actions, right? Like, we have to look at the truth of things. And sometimes the overall record doesn't necessarily tell you the truth of actual performance. So I like to see that. I know it's not a big thing, right? And there's so many different things we could talk about, but I just love the subtle things that Martin Saint Louis brings to the press conference. And Montreal does need to bounce forward. They need to learn from kind of some of the things that they're doing. And even though, they might have a really good record right now, there's still a lot of things that they need to improve. And, I'm just glad, some coaches might be fooled a little bit more by the Montreal Canadiens record, at this stage. So I don't know what I know, coach, you listen to the press conferences as much as I do. And you love everything that Martin Saint Louis brings. But I love this, little subtle thing. Instead of bouncing back, you're bouncing forward. I don't know. Maybe I'm a nerd, but I just love little things like that.
No, it's well said about that. You talk about one word. I always pay attention. By the way, before the show, I just watching him, the press conference last night, and then this morning, he does also a press conference. He talk about the word action, and someone asked him about Demidov, and he said he asked him how you feel about even Demidov so far, and he said it was something, a question about him, and he answered. He said, look, he said he plays 16, 15, 16 minutes per game, but it's all about his action.
And he only has the puck for 1 minute. He only has the puck for 1 minute of that 16 minutes, right?
Exactly. So he said he had the puck only 1 minute. For me, his actions are about what he does with 14 minutes without the puck. This is what you have to enjoy him. And maybe the people not follow the Montreal Canadiens, but they follow Chicago like I do because of my job. But other team, like their fans, and they see that this Martin Saint Louis, what he bring under the mic versus other coach, this is really priceless. I think for the Montreal Canadiens should listen more what Martin Saint Louis bring on the table. So absolutely agree with you about that. I think it's great to see his reaction after the game and this morning for the Montreal Canadiens. So me, I try to go that way. I know we're going to talk about this tonight. I know we're going to hear about that a lot. But I said, I'm going to start right there. So maybe I'm helping a lot more people to understand. But calm down, everybody. And it's about Samuel Montembeault. And Nylander got a puck on the head. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Calm down. The reason behind that, Marco, is after 7 games, and for the people in the chat, let me know. What was the record of Montembeau last year after 7 games?
I think he was 4-3 or 3-4 or something like that. Yeah.
All right. So, honestly, guys, I put the both stat from last year after 7 games and now this year after 7 games. Here we go. And last year it was 3-3-1. This year is at 3-4-0. He gave last year 3 of the 7 games with 4 goals a plus. This year he gave 4 goals at 4 games, 1 extra game with 4 goals a plus. He got removed 2 times last season during
Wow.
his first 7 games. He has a save percentage of 60% 1 game and 50%. 1 game was 7-2 and 1 game was 8-2 the final score. Now this year he had 5 games below .900. Last season he had 4 games below .900. So when you compare what he started last year and what he did this season, it's pretty much the same thing. The only thing he changed compared this season, and Marco, is last year he got a shootout at the first game of the season with 48 shots, I believe, against Toronto Maple Leaf. After that, he collapsed, and then he came back stronger in November. Where last season he played 7 games in October. This year he played the 7 games in November. That's the only trend he had. So my point behind that is we have to realize he did the same thing last season, and we have to see what he's going to his bounce back. I don't want to talk about the game last night because we're going to talk about this, but I just want to. Sometimes we lost everything. We just look right now, and I think we forgot. And he had a great year last season. Honestly, yes, his stat for GSVA is lower this year, but he was just by 3 -3, I believe. So I don't know, it was not too bad. So we have to be a little bit more patient and see how we're going to bounce back. So I decided to go with Wood because you talk about bounce forward. So I think it was a good matchup to go with Montembeau about that. So maybe you can give us maybe 1 minute about this.
Yeah. Like it's always hard to compare year over year. Like if you'll remember, Coach, last year Montreal was an absolute mess in their own zone, and the environment that Montembeau was playing in, I think, was much worse than the environment he's playing in this year. I think we'd
Yeah.
agree on that. That's it's a little bit more stable in front of him in terms of shots allowed and just the overall high danger chances that Montreal has. But it's hard to prove this. Like I like advanced analytics as much as the next person, but excuse me. Excuse me. If you look at if you just watch the games though, Coach, there's a lot of goals that are just plain bad bounces or unlucky against Montembeau this year. Like I know you can't really, it's hard to kind of judge that in the stats, but I can count at least 7 to 8 goals that were just
Hey.
bad luck, bad bounces. Even last night, the tying goal, he doesn't have his stick. Like it seems like all the breaks are going against him, right? And there's no question that his confidence has been shaken, and I like how Montreal has managed that. Saint Louis has, they gave him time to work with Raymond and all that. So listen, I agree with you. Like nothing says it more than just the reaction that was in the Bell Center last night. He was getting Bronx cheers, just like a Patrick Roy type Bronx cheers in the first period, and then in the third period they're screaming Monty, Monty. That's just like the bipolar nature of Montreal Canadiens fans sometimes. I had some people that I know that were in the stands, and I've heard some different reports that it was a very small minority of people that were screaming that. And sometimes, the expression "a loud minority," right? But apparently, at the beginning of the game, they were cheering his name too. So I think most fans understand and are supporting him. They remember kind of what this guy did for us last year. There's a huge debate, obviously. It's hard to not to debate against Dobesh, like he's unbeaten. I get it, right? But you're going to need Montembeau for a long season, right? So for those of you who, like I saw, even in our chat here last night, Coach, I popped in during the first intermission. I was like, oh, send him to the KHL. Send, like this guy's a bum. And listen, like, everybody has, kind of tough times. And listen, it's a high demanding performance result driven business. But Montreal Canadiens are going to need Sam Montembeault if they're going to be successful this year. So I 100%, like I think everybody needs to chill. And I think last night's game is really going to help him, because I think if it wasn't for Montembeault last night, they certainly wouldn't have gotten a point.
Good point about that. Also, Mark is in the house. How we said what Mark said, he is right about this too. We not said Mantabo is not excellent. We just said like he's unlucky about trying goal. But yes, he have to work a lot of things. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah,
about
for sure.
his performance in front of net to repair the track the puck. First of all, he's not always at the right position. A little bit, Sven, where we how he tracked the puck is a little bit my biggest concern for me. Like he gets not, but he's a big goalie. He should be better to go around the player in front of him. Everything like that. But I would like him two things for me, and I think Marco will be agree with me. Two things. I want him to get out of the crease more, Marco. And at this, I cannot. I'm not a goalie, so I cannot tell you. Me, I coach Marco, and every time.
It's voodoo. Yeah,
Don't
goalies
ask
are
him
voodoo.
anything,
Yeah,
buddy. Go talk to the goalie coach. I have no clue. Whatever you tell me, I cannot help you. So same thing with that. But for what the people said, Montebu should be a little bit more, not too much deep on the crease. But for me, one thing, I think you need to be a little bit more aggressive, like push the people around him, like Tobesh. Tobesh is more challenging, or he moved the people around him. I would like that kind of the aggressivity for Montembeau. Like, you have some people that crazy, you know what? Get at them out. At
yeah. I
some
think
point, if you have to take a penalty for one time, just do it. Like, you have to clean the people in front of you. I don't
yeah,
know.
I
And
think
maybe I'm wrong here, but that's my feeling about that.
yeah, like analyzing goaltending is very. That's why I think last week, Coach, we talked about Steve Valiquette, somebody that I really watch
Yeah, yeah, he have a
closely.
good podcast, but he does a lot of great stuff on the website.
Yeah, he has like his own analytics company, and he obviously pays a lot of attention to goaltending. And he had he was on Kipper and Bourne or whatever again there recently, and they were talking about Dobesh, and they were talking about different goaltenders, and what he said about Montembeault before is, and if you look at the advanced analytics, the biggest problem with Montembeault is being able to stop pucks in traffic. That's why for me, like whenever you and you'll see it, Rick Tocchet. I know we're going to talk about the game here, but if you go look at clips of them practicing, Rick Tocchet had the whiteboard out, and you were seeing that they were wanting to go D to D, put the puck on net, add traffic, because everybody knows that Montembeault has problems seeing pucks through traffic. That's his biggest weakness. Is and to be honest, that's Vasilevsky's biggest weakness as well. There's just certain goalies that have a harder time picking up pucks through traffic. So I think that's the biggest thing. Like playing more aggressive and more out of your net, it can help in those situations. But then if there's a broken play, if you're too far out in front of your net, it's harder. Like you're more susceptible to side plays. So there's pros and cons, right? Like if you play more aggressive, yes, you might kind of cut angles down better, and you might front pucks in situations like that. But sometimes if the puck bounces, if there's a broken play and it goes to the side, you might be out of position. That's kind of what we criticize Dobes for too much, is being a little too aggressive and too active in the net sometimes, and being out of position. So yeah, to me, the biggest thing with Montembeault is seeing puck through traffic. And Montreal St. Louis needs to kind of figure out something in his defensive zone scheme to put more pressure on, because you see that teams, they bring a forward high and they just try to attract traffic. And Montreal leaves a lot of time and space to people up top in the zone, and they filter in shots. And to me, that's the time I'm the most nervous, when I see teams shooting pucks from near the blue line at the top of the zone. That's when I get nervous for Monty. So, yes, we'll continue to keep an eye on it.
Now, great comment about that. That comments by enough tap and Mark about something with Ron and Kev also. So thanks everybody. Don't forget, please click on the likes. We're going to switch to the NHL because I think we look, we start the 5 weeks, I believe, now, the NHL this year. And this season is still a bit early, but I think we'll be good to talk about a little bit what's going on around the league and to hear a little bit more your input about different things. So I have not many like injuries or everything like that. It's more about what I see so far. But I want to talk about something was really, really weird last night. And everybody talk about this on social media, guys. So Marco, yesterday, a crazy goal last night between Minnesota and the Nashville Predator. And I want to show you the goal, and then I want to hear your input about this and the people in the chat. If you think it's a good goal or a bad goal, for what you heard from the NHL, from different people on the social media. But this happening last night, guys. Watch the goaltender with his glove is going to push out the net. And then you have a rebound. He missed the net, and then he returned the puck in the crease. And that goal, it was good, Mr. Marko. So, how you feel about that, and what your perception about this? Now, the one more thing I want to mention that, and then after that you can talk. Steven Senko's after the game talk about the news, the people reporter, and he mentioned the goal was decided by Toronto. Then we heard a little bit later, Toronto did not decide this call. It was from the referee on the ice. So we had two versions there, but still, uh, ex referee down. Is it Down Jackson? Jackson's
sure.
last name. Sometimes I mess up with the guy for the GM for the Edmonton Oilers. But at the end of the day, he explained the role, and he explained why this goal was good. But I have a difficult time for me to understand that, and I want to hear from you. Then I'm going to give you my my input after that.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's an interesting one for sure. Like I think there's two ways to look at it. You can debate whether you think the rule is smart or fair, but that's a different debate. If the debate is was it a good goal based on the rules on how it's written, then it was a good goal. Like I think he did knock the puck off. What is the I forget the exact language, right? But it's something like the anticipated if it interrupts the anticipated or the the play that's about to happen as a goal, then it counts as a goal. So if you look at just the wording, which I don't have in front of me again, but it for sure they interpreted the rule correctly. And one other argument that you can say is that if you want to discourage goalies from knocking the net off its moorings, that's a good way to do it, right? Like if goalies were thinking they're being cute by doing that, this is an example that their coaches in the organization might show them to say, don't do that because it might count as a goal, even though it wasn't actually potentially going in even. So I heard Stamkos's, and by the way, Stamkos might make an excellent lawyer. Like he's very good. Like his points were very clear.
He was really there on that one.
Yeah. So listen, I understand the arguments that he's making, and like I said, he could maybe one day argue at the Supreme Court. But at the end of the day, the rule is the rule, and like many other rules in the NHL, you can agree or disagree, and we can talk about whether we want to change the rules or adapt them in whatever way. But in my opinion, the way that the rule is written, it was a good goal and it was the right call.
No, you're right about that. I think the only thing I would say for me was a bit an argument between people and on left and right, and inside the people inside the NHL talking about. They said like, the Owenson, he had an opportunity at the first time to put the puck in the net, and he missed it. And the puck hit the side of the net. Then after that, he picked up the puck, and he scored after that. They said I feel good about this too, where the play should be dead. Like you have one chance, and if the puck go in, you get it. But after that, the play should be dead, and then move on to the next.
On his first shot, though, the net wasn't really completely off yet when he did that shot, right? Like it wasn't completely off. So I understand what you mean, but he only really did take one shot after the net was off, I think.
Yeah.
What I saw there.
Standerman, welcome in the house, like Peter, August. Both of them asked the same question, said the same thing on different ways. But I said for me, this is the only thing. Like yesterday, the helmet, no helmet from Attaway last night on the game for the Flyers. I was screaming here, why does not? Then I got an explanation about that today, where if the puck stuck around the board, and he had no play. The puck stuck there. They have the puck is not moving, and he's beside the plate. He's not involved because he does not try to push the puck, everything like that. But the referee was screaming to him to get out, to go back to the bench, where it was the right things about this. to the referee, I absolutely agree because sometimes when you ref, Marco, you scream to the player, hey, keep your stick down or whatever you're going to tell him. Don't do that, whatever it is, you know. But it was the right call there. But it was a little bit strange because he was hanging there. He was still hanging there. But the interpretation of the rule, if the puck does not move, stuck there, the player he can be there until the puck is moving. Then he have to go back to the bench, and that's happening yesterday. So it was open about this. Mike, I have a question,
Mhm.
Marco. What about goalies knocking their own mask off to stop the play, even when the puck does not hit them? They want their team is under pressure.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. It's similar, right? Like, and it's not impossible that goalies could take advantage of that. You've seen it in some cases actually where the referee has refused to blow it down in some cases, right? But obviously, the NHL is going to always focus on player safety first, right? But I think in those cases, Mark, like what they're going to do is the referee's going to look for a pattern, right? Like to see if this is, and I'm sure goalies would get reputation around the league for doing something like that if it's something that they've done before. Referees talk to each other, right? And they definitely, I'm sure they pass on information. You build a reputation around the league. Yeah, it's good, coach, when you put the question in the ticker like that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so I
They
tried
get
to
to
get
see
that
their
one.
name on the yeah, that's very good. Yeah, so no, that's a great point, Mark. And I think it's up to the discretion of the official to if they have a suspicion, that the goalie is rigging that situation. You could get a delay of game penalty, but I think in most cases they're going to default to player safety and probably stop the play, right? But I'm pretty sure that if a goalie would do that to their advantage in a sneaky way, that they would build a reputation around the league and that would pass around pretty quickly.
Point for Mark is although Gali got called for same thing last season. He was not directly involved with the play. The referee to be consistent. I will give you one example yesterday. The penalty for Caulfield from behind in the corner, right? It's questionable. You see game Renzel got cut and the glass by the guy for the Tampa Bay Lightning. No penalty there. So inconsistency. It's a bit like the ref. I learned in baseball. Marco was watching the Blue Jays where the umpire behind the plate, the consistency, the strike zone is up and down. Is little. So we ask them for that one. We have Mr. Roger Delaney is in the house. Talk about Suzuki. I'm going to talk about the game a bit later. Roger, you're absolutely right about Suzuki blocked the shot last night. Was one of the great conversation. Everybody, thank you so much. Peter August, Kev, D&D is in the house. M&M is in the house also. Thanks so much. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to talk about this. Let's move on for the Marco about other things. I want to talk about this because I think this is really important. Or important, it's not very important, but that gave us a little bit information right there. 2017, Marco, from before the game tonight, play 500 and above. Um, I talked about the bonus point last night. Some people say yes, but you have to win those games, everything like that. But it is what we are right now. The parity in NHL, guys, you lose two games back to back. You can switch them from the top to the bottom and maybe quickly more you think it would be. And that's what I think the key now, Marco, is to get uh, limited your stretch of losing game. Not more at two game. If you can, that would be better, of course. But this is a really a new ways to do that. 2017, and most of them is more on the. They are all on the Western
Yeah.
Conference. All the team in the Eastern are play for 500. So the bonus point out and play 3 versus 3 become an important things in NHL now to the situation.
Yeah, like, and coach, I remember having this debate with many people and in different chats, like on different podcasts. And I posed a question to some different hosts on different podcasts. And the big debate is it mediocrity or is it parity? Yeah, because a lot of as a Habs fan, a lot of people were like, well, the only reason Montreal made the playoffs last year is because the Rangers and some other teams, like it was the mediocrity of the other teams, right? It was a soft division or a soft conference. I don't believe that for a minute. I think it's parity. Any team can beat anyone any night. And listen, there's some people that might not like that. I think it's great. Like I to me, the longer teams are in the running for a playoff spot, like coach, they're thinking of adding more teams, more expansion. Like more teams have to stay in the fight. More teams have to play games that matter, right? So I think parity is critical to the game if you're going to keep these different fan bases. But the counter argument to that is you hear people like, well, we have all these watered down teams. Like we have really teams that build really solid teams, but they can't keep their players because the salary cap.
Super chat.
We have a super chat, Mr. Marko. The first goal tonight, the camp for the best friend, Roger Delaney. Oh my God! He did it again! Thank you. He did it again. Roger Delaney, Mr. Marko did the first goal of the night. Thanks so much, Roger. Going to get an assist. They have the same age around. Mr. Larry Lavallée and Inartap for that one. So congratulations on the both assists on the goal of Marko. I have to take a break right now here. I know you have a lot of talk to talk. We have a question for Marko, Mark Elliott, by the way. But what's going on? 5-0. We have not finished the second period. The Blues, again, with Binnington between the pipe. Every year, I watch a lot of things, Marko. I take a note, I keep my note, and then I share it. Because, anyway, Jim Montgomery won the best goal coach in NHL the last 4 years with the goal again. Like everywhere he goes, his goaltender are top 5 in NHL. Look at Dallas, look in Boston. Last year, he picked up the St. Louis Blues, right? And Binnington offer after when he show up, he have it like the top 5. That said, thanks so much, Bush, new member of the Hockey Nation Show. Thank you so much, Bush. Glad to continue to be a part of the show. Now, it's crazy. New member James, also, thanks so much, Mr. James. I appreciate a lot on that one. So, what do you feel about that?
It's one of the more baffling, stories so far this season, Coach, because I think, like St. Louis to me, and is almost the same story as Montreal after the Four Nations last year, right? They're on the same trajectory. Like to me, Montreal and St. Louis are very similar teams. They have very similar first line centers with Robert Thomas and Suzuki. They have some good young players. So yeah, that's really hard to understand that one. Like to me, they have to be right at the top of the list for the biggest disappointments of the season so far. Like I think most people understand that it's a weird team in the sense where
let's finish. Then we're going to go with Mark score the goal.
Yeah. What's different, I guess, is that they never did a full rebuild. They're similar to Dallas in the sense where they kind of rebuilt on the fly. Their decor was getting a bit older, but I like some of the moves that they made. Like they bring in Fowler. Like it's just baffling, Coach. I don't know what is going on in St. Louis, but definitely something. Good opportunity maybe for Kent Hughes to give a call and see if they need to shake something up, right? Like it's one of the rare teams that is kind of struggling right now. But yeah, it's a good point.
Sure. They cannot fire him. They signed him a 5-year deal.
No, I don't think
again, -2 tonight. Play 7 minutes only. -3 for Fowler. Yeah. Justin Falk have -2 right there. Look, this is going to be really interesting to follow the Blues. But I just want to mention that for everybody. It's just crazy. And of course, he did it again. He said he's shopping all day for Christmas. Mark Elliott, he said he's going to add one more present for the Hockey Nation. He did it again, $20. Oh, my God! Thank you. Mark Elias scored a goal on that great shot of Mark. Going to get an assist to two moderators, Inartap and Mr. Roundly Kings deserve an assist on that one. And thanks so much, my friend Mark Elliott, to do that. 5-0 the Capitals against the Blues. Now, Marco have a rules in NHL. Not NHL. Have a rules I do every year. Now, people does this on Thanksgiving, they see the same thing, they put everybody. But I put me early rules. I started this like 4 years ago. I learned this from Elliot Freeman. So I'm not a guy create everything, but I start to trust that, not trust, but I start to do it with him like every November 1st. And the team are not play for 500. They don't make the playoff. And I said, okay, I will do this today. Now we have the November 5th. So 5 days later, it's not a big deal. But right now, Marco, Minnesota, San Jose, St. Louis, I put Minnesota again, Calgary. It's not Minnesota, it's Nashville. I want to add that. So we have a double Minnesota, but one is Nashville. Marco, are not in the playoff. One, you see my board right there. What is the percentage? I agree, like, you're right, Coach. I don't see anything can come back of what we are right now. I know Minnesota win the last two games, everything, but I still believe. Do you see something can come back in that from them?
So it's a pretty common, over the last, Elliot Friedman did invent that, if you're not in the playoffs by American Thanksgiving, it's really rare that you'll see a team do that. I think it's going to be very hard to apply that rule this year, Coach, because literally the entire Eastern Conference is, above 500, like you said. But in the Western Conference, whether or not they're under 500, really the only team on here that I had as a playoff team is St. Louis. So I know they've had a really tough start, like we were just talking about, but again, with how close things are, like if they were to put a run together here and win like 4 games in a row, then they would be right back into it. So to me, really the only team that I would see here that has a legitimate shot, Minnesota is not a bad team either. I just don't like their depth, and I just don't think they have enough scoring, in the lineup. And so, I would say probably St. Louis would be the only team that they need to change something though, because obviously it's going a bit crazy. But out of these teams, the only one I really see maybe making a push would be the Blues.
Great point about that. And 26 talk about the 3 versus 3. We'll talk about this later. Mark, thank you for your question about the consistency, the referee. And 26 Tampa have to be happy they did not sign Stamkos. Is bad with the Nashville Predator. I agree with you about this. And like I said, sometimes we do a show, Marco, we flip left and right. We still have a time. So we have a question. Well, not a question. Marco, not Marco, but in our tap, talk about this. He asked Marco to Mark. Mark. Anyway, Mark, how about Robert Thomas? Because you talk about
like I said,
you talk about St. Louis maybe make a move, something like that. But what do you feel if Montreal Canadiens would like to get Robert Thomas?
Well, of course they would, right? But I don't think St. Louis, I don't think this is realistic, guys, that St. Louis would be moving Robert Thomas. I don't think they're in a position where they're going to start rebuilding. One player that I've talked about a long time that Montreal would be smart to focus is Dvorsky. That's somebody that's playing in their AHL right now, drafted in the same year, just a couple of years ago in the draft, a Slovakian center, young kid. I think that would be a great fit for Montreal, but it depends what St. Louis wants to do. Like, I don't think they're in a rebuilding or retooling mode anymore. I think they're looking to get better. Like, look at the moves that they've made. To kind of improve their team. I think they wanted to get younger on defense. We'll see kind of what happens with Mayu, and they needed to address the right side of their defense. But of course, who wouldn't love? Like, you can just imagine, like Suzuki and Robert Thomas are pretty much almost the same player, Coach. Like, they're almost identical. They're both right-handed shooting guys. I think Suzuki produces a little bit more offensively, but they're both very good two-way players. Like, Montreal would be so loaded if that was possible. But
that's a good point about this, Marco. That's what I want to ask you. That we have N26 talk about Thomas look like a Suzuki. Yes, we don't talk about the cost right now. It's not what the point behind that. We have Mike. Thomas would be the best. Casey, I'll talk about Zegras. We blew it for Zegras. I don't think so. And that would be another example that we bring my point for both of you from KC and everybody else. Here's the problem we get, guys. If we get a player like Robert Thomas or Zegras example, usually you have to use them at some point, right? And usually those players should be on the power play number one. And the problem with that is like you add Thomas, you have no room anymore to put them on the power play. It's a little bit what happened with Patrick Laine right now. You have no room anymore. Patrick Laine now is locked out. He is in the jail right now because Demidov just proved it, guys. We cannot remove Demidov anymore. You cannot remove Caulfield, Suzuki. The chemistry they have right now is too much on that one. You add a guy like Thomas, you're going to pay a lot to put him like 16, 17 minutes. I think you need to find, Marko, my point behind that is to find a front player like Suzuki, produces about 50, 60 points, 40 points, but he brings something we don't have. Maybe a grinder, maybe a left center with a high face-off like Suzuki Evans. Like what we don't have, and to give you some kind of stability on the second line. And it's easy to remind Sam Bennett example. It's easy to remind a Trocheck. You have those kind of players in NHL, Marko, are more a second center around the NHL. Kadri, I think, is a second center. I don't think is a top center. Right now, he's Gregory because that's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And like, again, like for people that were enamored with Trevor Zegras last night, like it's great. Like it sounds, and last night's game, it looks like he's definitely playing a little bit more engaged hockey.
But it's good for him, by the way. It's good for him. He bounced back.
I'm happy for Trevor Zegras, but just remember why Montreal didn't take him. Like basically, once they drafted Ivan Demidov, they were gonna maybe trade for Trevor Zegras if they didn't get Demidov, right? But you can't have Trevor Zegras and Demidov. Like they're very similar players. You need it, like you were saying, Coach. You need a mix of players. 3-2 Toronto. You can't have like all skillful dangly players on your team. You need different kind of guys. So you need somebody that's going to complement Demidov. And I hope the best for Zegras, and he is a very exciting, electrifying player, and does look like he's definitely a little bit more focused and playing a little bit more complete of a game, which is great. But to me, again, and this is well reported, is that Montreal was interested in Trevor Zegras, but then when they drafted Demidov, it became unnecessary for them to trade for Trevor Zegras. It just doesn't make sense to have both. So same thing with Michkov, right? Like, how's everybody thinking about Michkov, by the way, after last night's game in Philadelphia, right? But anyway, so for sure, I agree with you, Coach. Like the profile we're looking for is a second line center, left-hand shot, can complement the players that we have. We're looking at the Mammoth right now playing Toronto. Another guy, Barrett Hayden, very good example of a second line center.
No, that's exactly. People in the chat does the same thing. Marko, you think about this way. I agree with you. N26, your comments about number one. Everything Senpai, welcome in the house. Everybody, don't forget, please, to click on the like. If you don't mind, that'd be great. I'm going to consist for about 5 minutes more. What we learned since the beginning of the season, guys, that was a bit what we tried to get here. East right now, all about 500, but the East over the West, Marko, 52-31-5 since the beginning of the season. This season, this is normal. If you look about Christmas, Marko, I'm going to do this again. You're going to figure out the West, pick it up after that. I have no explanation to tell you more, but when you do those kind of number, you'll be like impressive about that. But you have to think quickly for what you saw the first 4 weeks or 5 weeks now. Why you feel like the East is over the West at this moment of the season, early in the season?
Yeah, like again, it's a pretty short sample size, right? One like it could be something circumstantial like travel. There's way more travel in the West. Like often you'll see these Western teams like Utah right now, right? They're traveling, they're doing these long road trips around the East, and so maybe that's something like overall it is a harder road to hoe if you're a Western Conference team. For many years everybody thought that the Western Conference was way more powerful than the East and all that. So I don't know if there's something like, obviously we're seeing that there's a lot of parity, in the East, and maybe there's some of the weaker teams like Chicago, San Jose, probably the two or three worst teams, Calgary, are all in the West, right? So maybe that has something to do with it. Overall, I don't know if this like signifies like a power shift in, like the next Stanley Cup winners are always going to be in the East or something like that. I don't know if we read into it too much, but it's, I think it's always harder for Western teams because of the travel.
As was said, another comments. Gary Conway, welcome in the house. Thanks. And then people talk about stuff. What we learned, Marco, 212 game, not including tonight. 60 of them have been an OT.
That's crazy.
28% since the beginning of the season. And the last 105 game in NHL, 36 of them for a percentage of 33. So what's the point behind that, Marco? Is the average in NHL is always been between 21% to 23%, so lower. But how you feel about that? What's going on? Is it something changing in NHL? What is the reason why we have more overtime?
Hey, like for sure, I've noticed that too, and it's definitely kind of conversation that's going around the league right now about why this is the case. Like that is a pretty tremendous increase in that stat, right? But like I said, it's it's just really about parity, Coach. These games are so close. There's so many lead changes. One thing that I have to look into, like I remember last year, there was a really big sharp decline in penalty calls, like in power plays in the NHL. So I'm not sure if I haven't looked into that where we are so far. I don't know if you've looked into it, but maybe that's something. I've just as watching games, I've noticed a little bit more power plays than maybe last year. Games being called a bit tighter, so more power plays, you're going to create more offense. And we're going to look at some of the statistics for Montreal, like goals for and all that. Like I think overall goals for are like a little bit higher this year. Like there's more goals scored in the NHL, maybe a little bit over last year. So to me, it's not just one thing, right? There's many factors that go into why these games are closer. It's parity, condensed schedule. Like it's hard for teams to get on a roll because they're playing back to backs. Like there's so many different reasons. But at the end of the day, I love it. Like I don't I don't want an NHL season where six teams separate themselves from the pack by the end of November, and then there's like eight teams that have zero chance of making the playoffs. Like I was saying before, 32 teams now. We might even get more teams, Coach. Like we've talked about on the show here before, like a play-in format to keep the fan bases more interested longer in the season. So to me, parity, some people might hate it. Like I said, purists might feel like they love super teams. They hate it when, it's all about having superstars play together. I get it. But to me, that's more of like an NBA thing, having superstar players deciding to go play together and all that. Like I like balanced teams. If you've watched me on this show, I like balanced teams that have four lines. So I love it. Like, so because it evens out the playing field, the teams like Montreal, Toronto, Rangers, and that's why they have the salary cap, guys, to make it more competitive, to have teams like Nashville, Ottawa, the small market teams have an ability to put a team together and be competitive. And with these salary cap increasing, I think we're gonna see the parity change here, because not all teams are gonna go up to the cap, right? You're gonna have teams that are gonna have internal caps. So enjoy the parity while it lasts, guys, because it might not be the case for forever, right? Like this is, I think, honestly, Coach, I don't know if you agree with me. You could argue we're kind of in the golden age of hockey. Like there's really the game is fast. We have beautifully skilled players. We have parity. Like, it's fun to watch hockey. It's fun. It's competitive, and there's the more fans that can kind of stay in the race, enjoy seeing their teams in the race. I'm all for it.
Absolutely about that. I agree with you. We have more things to talk about NHL, but we have too much to talk about the Montreal Canadiens. So we're going to jump in right there for the Montreal Canadiens. Before we go a little bit more deeper, talk about the game yesterday. Montreal Canadiens announced today they called up Matt Delgazzo for the Laval Rocket to go to Laval, to go to New Jersey with an extra defenseman. And then they bring also Nick Zuki was not at the practice today. Nothing. Major was just a treatment day like we do every single day. So sometimes some players. So nothing major there. But I want to talk about the game last night. Many fans want to talk about this. Montreal lost by a score of 5-4 and overtime and shootout. I apologize. I put overtime. I apologize. It's not this, but I apologize. And then I want to bring you here and. I want to give you a little bit more overall, and then you can talk about the game, and then I'm going to talk about Sven players. First of all, Suzuki scored a goal, 19 point out, 12 straight game with 1 point. This is the most active in the NHL, and I believe the last one did that is Pierre Turgeon in 1996, I believe. The last time we have a player for the Montreal at 12 straight game. Could be that. 2 goals yesterday for Kirby Duck. That gave him 3 in the season, 5 points so far. Demidov scored a goal, is 4 of the year with an assist, 8 assists for a total now the 12 point. I believe before the game started, he was lead the most for the rookies. Hudson had 2 more assists for a total of 12. He had 13 points in 13 games. Cole Caulfield got an assist, 6 of the year, but he get now 16 points. And Sorry, we don't talk about him a lot, but Dobson got a 7 assists. Now he's at 8 points. Finally, I want to give you that. What happened in the game, and then you can add more. But a very bad stuff for the Montreal Canadiens, 3 goals in 7 minutes. Then they come back. They come back for the Montreal Canadiens. Montembeault up and down. The power play is a killer. 53.1 cent Demidov is there. Demidov scored a goal. Plus is too high. A power play goal again for the Montreal Canadiens yesterday. This time was Zuski, I believe it was that one. So give us a bit more what you think about that game overall. If people can add your comments for this one. If I look about one, why do you always have lucky game when we have an extra day off for that one? And then we have someone, I live in UK, change win like football, 3 for a win, and then you will not see NHL play for 1 point lose. Good point about that. Welcome to the show. We appreciate a lot. You stop by from UK. We love the people around the world. We have Bob Smith is in the house. Welcome back. Rock knocked the door too. Thanks for everybody. Don't forget, please click on the like. So, sorry, Marco, if I go all the way those information.
That's all right. So, all right. Well, so did you want me to answer the questions, or do you want me to break down the game?
Go with the game. I think the question was more the comments from Mark, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. So listen, we talked a little bit about it in our headline. Like, I don't think anybody would disagree that this is probably Montreal's worst game of the season. And we heard from Martin Saint Louis that they're going to definitely look at the truth of that. Maybe not let the fact that they had a comeback with like, I think, Coach, like one stat that isn't on our graphs here that we're going to look at in after we're done the breakdown here is Montreal has the highest shooting percentage in the NHL and the lowest shots for in the NHL. Martin Saint Louis talked about it yesterday that really the only reason that this game was even remotely close is 2 reasons. They were very opportunistic on the power play. I think they only had 8 shots after 2 periods or something like that, and they were winning, like whatever it was, right? It's really opportunistic, and ultimately Montembeault, even though it was kind of a tough start, the second period, like, he saved their bacon. Like, he made a lot of big saves to kind of keep them in the game as well. Even though they were opportunistic and took the lead and Coach, like, those goals were exciting to watch. I'm not poo-pooing on the goals. They were fun to watch. But you know how Martin Saint Louis often says, like, we were losing on the scoreboard, but we weren't losing the game, or they weren't beating us. Do we hear that a lot? Yep. It's the opposite this time. Montreal was winning on the scoreboard, but they weren't beating Philadelphia at playing hockey. And that's the truth. After, and Saint Louis admitted it himself yesterday that the best team won last night. So
absolutely.
And there's some games like, and that's how hockey works sometimes, guys. Like in the first game of the season, Montreal was the better team. They lost against Toronto, and in Edmonton, they were the best team, and they lost that game ultimately as well, right? So these things happen, but what's really important is you can't be fooled by just the score and what they got a point. That's nice. So that's the beauty of having elite talent in your lineup is sometimes you can be very opportunistic and score on your chances. But this is not something that is going to be something that they can kind of continue doing if they want to continue to have success. So a lot can be said about like the start of the game. People didn't like the first goal by Montembeault, but even Martin Saint-Louis said it himself, like what a tough, like as your first shot to get a deflection like that, like it's, like I said, coach, like Montreal allows too much time and space to
This one
players at
was
the
on you
top.
hook on that one.
Yeah, New Hook didn't get the guy,
It's happened, by the way, but
sure, it happens, but overall, there is a pattern there that Montreal allows too much space. They collapse, a lot, in front of the net. That allows a lot of space at the points and gives lots of time and space for them to kind of like pick their shot and look for tips and stuff like that. So I think that's a pretty tough read for Montembeault as your first shot, and then boom, you're on a 5-on-3 power play. Could you do a better job there, like with the rebound? Maybe, but it's a bang bang play, kind of like a broken play again. And then so just bang, you're down 3-0. But then Monty, like I said, I think definitely kind of like built some momentum, kept them in it, and then Montreal's just like I won't be totally negative here, coach. Like there's some very exciting, like that Demidov shot. Remember, I think last time I was on here, I was commenting that Demidov had yet to score a goal where he shot it into the net past a goalie, right? Most of his goals were dekes, or stuff like that. But now that's 2 times where he's wrist shot past a goalie. And what a shot that was. Like beautiful shot, similar to the game time goal that we saw that from Hudson there the other day, right? So some really exciting stuff, right? But you just can't get mesmerized by that because there's some things that they need to work on. And the other concerning thing, and yeah, like sorry, the other positive thing, really good for Kirby Doc's confidence for sure. He looked very pumped up. That hopefully that will help his confidence. The only concerning thing too to take away, coach, we saw that Suzuki, like you said, didn't practice today. Really nice shot block at the end of the game. We know that Suzuki has an Ironman streak. If Montreal were to miss Suzuki for any amount of time, it would be absolutely devastating. So hopefully he's okay and he's still able to, it's going to take a lot for Suzuki to miss games, but hopefully, he's still in a position to be effective out there, and hopefully he's not hurt too bad from that shot block.
great point about that. Ron ask you, why do the Habs play like a crap and the front of the Montembeault?
I don't think it's that different, to be honest, in terms of I don't see a big difference in how they play in front of Montembeault versus Dobesh, to be honest. Like the big difference with Dobesh, and people might not find this strange to hear, but Dobesh allows more rebounds than Montembeault most of the time. So they do have to play a bit differently in front of Dobesh in the sense where he does allow more rebounds. So they do have to kind of clear the net a bit more. That's normally right. Like Montembeault hasn't really been at the top of his game, but I don't think I don't think it has anything to do with how they're playing in front of him necessarily. Like I said at the top of the show, guys, like yes, he hasn't been at the top of his game, but he's had some really shitty breaks as well too, like just some really bad breaks. So I don't buy that. I don't buy that Montreal plays differently. I don't think like sometimes you have a rookie goalie and maybe the team will play a bit tighter, just knowing that they have to be a little bit more careful. I don't think that's where they are now with Dobesh. Like he's played playoffs games, guys. Like they're used to playing in front of him. I don't think they're tiptoeing or playing more defensively when he's there versus when Montembeault's there. I don't buy that.
A great point about that. Only thing I would say to you more is for an excuse for people ask, no, it's nothing. It's just a treatment day, so it's nothing major. So he's going to be ready tomorrow night, and I just want to reconfirm that. Bob Smith, and then in our tap, there was not a low rebound, and is quicker to send up after a save. for that one. Toronto win tonight, leave 5-2. Toronto now come back and the
Yeah.
statement and the standing now. I think that gave them 3W in the last 3 games for them. And the Washington still winning 5-0 the beginning of the third period for the Washington. Let's move on for what we got here, guys. Don't go nowhere. I want to talk about fun players. First of all, Ivan Demidov. Demidov, an amazing, great shot yesterday. I cannot recall it, and a quick shot like he did again the Flyers. Secondly, if you pay attention, I will ask all the people if you watch the goal again, watch his skating. His skate was completely put more power to release that shot. I always believe Ryan O'Reilly is one of the most risk shot in NHL, and he did that kind of like Riley does, and gave the Montreal Canadiens take the lead 4-3. And look, Demidov is passed on Nick Suzuki again. He did it not the first time. He did it for other players during the year. Cole Caulfield, I believe, one time with Alex Newhook. Another time, you get Patrick Laine gold, not gold, but another great pass. So you can see Evan Demidov, his vision is blew my mind.
Yeah. So hasn't Ivan Demidov assisted on every Nick Suzuki goal this year? And I think 3 out of the 4 goals have been in an empty net. Because that quick kind of like quick pass that he does back to the side on the power play, where the goalie's just completely out of position when he passes it back to him. So yeah, so Nick Suzuki definitely owes him like a steak or something. Like, because I think Suzuki's had some good chances to score this year. He's hit the post a couple times, but I think every goal that Suzuki has been assisted by Demidov. So you're right, Coach. Like, who he reminds me of, like, for that shot is Kovalev on the right wing. Like, Kovalev used to be so good on that right wall, and because he was such a good playmaker that he would be really deceptive and be able to kind of release devastating wrist shot and kind of go top cheese like that. So yeah, like I said, the only thing that I hadn't seen from Demidov yet, like from an offensive perspective, was shooting more. But he's like, so not only has he been shooting it in the net, but he's been shooting more often. And he was asked about that in the press conference. Like, I think him and Hudson have been challenging each other to shoot more often. I think Demidov is winning that internal competition between the two. I'd still like to see Hudson shoot a bit more. But you can see Demidov is really trying to get more shots in his game. I think if you look at the last 3 games, he's averaging at least 3 shots per game. And before that, he was barely at 1 shot per game. So I really like that trend. If he continues to get 3 shots per game at least, and maybe like 5 to 6 attempts per game, it's going to really change everything. Because then, as you hear this all the time, right? Like, the defensive team has to respect the shot or respect the fact that he might pass it or whatever. So it just opens up a whole different world for him. So he's combative, Coach. Like, I like the fact that he's not kind of shying away from one-on-one battles along the boards. You can see, like, he's not. I like the fact, I like the way that he does the battles too. Like, he's similar to Hudson, where he kind of like instigates contact instead of getting hit along the boards. He'll kind of initiate contact in smart ways, roll off different checks and everything. I think he'll just get better and better though at that. Like, I still think he doesn't win a lot of those one-on-one battles along the boards, but he's not afraid to go in there. And I think this is what Martin Saint-Louis talks about learning to play without the puck more and more, right? Is he's just going to get better and better. And based on his answers, like, you can see, he knows he's not just focused on scoring points. He's really much focused on, like, here's a good example, guys. Like, I know we've talked about it recently about Cole Caulfield, right? If you look at Cole Caulfield 4 years ago, in terms of how he would win puck battles, how he played, back checking and stuff like that. Imagine Demidov playing with the same consistency as Caulfield 5-on-5, like, with his effort, with his back checks, like winning, using your stick and winning puck battles. It's going to be a complete game changer. Like, let Martin Saint-Louis work with Demidov for like a year or two, and you're going to see a similar transformation to what we saw with Cole Caulfield in terms of being a 200-foot player. He's already using the same language, Coach. C'est exactly, c'est la même cassette là, qu'il utilisait pour Caulfield. I know what he can do offensively. Okay, well, Caulfield used to say, we know Cole can score goals. And what does he say about Demidov? I know that he's going to be good on the power play. I know he's good offensively.
Yeah,
But
great point about that for sure. For even the great comments in the chat, Mr. UK, great senpai too. Bob Smith continues to butch in our tap. Luc Fortin too. I appreciate that. Don't forget, please, to click on the likes. My next player, Samuel Montembeau. We talk about this a little bit in the chat, everything like that. We talked my headline was about Samuel Montembeau, but I said we don't talk about the game last night. What are you with Samuel Montembeau?
well, I think I've already covered it, right? Like I think if it wasn't for Montembeau last night, they don't get a point for sure. Like I, let's say there's one of the three goals, that you'd want him to have back last night, and then the tying goal again, he didn't have a stick, right? So just another bad break for him. So I think like so the one thing I guess we can talk about, Coach, that we didn't emphasize is what does last night's game mean for his confidence moving forward, right? I think it's great. You could see it just on his face. He was almost relieved, right? Like, and one thing, Coach, like Montreal doesn't allow as many shots as they do last year, you know? And you know how there's some goalies that just play better when they see the puck more, when they have more action? Maybe it's so one thing to keep an eye on, like I'm not saying this is the case, right? But maybe with the way that Montreal is playing, is this new style or new kind of reality, new environment that Montembeau is playing, is it going to be the right environment for him? Is he the type of goalie that can only get 22 shots and still make the key saves? We've seen that he's a guy that can, when he's getting 30, 40 shots, that he's in the game, he gets hot and he gets in a rhythm. So not all goalies are like that though, right? So that might be something that like I haven't heard many people talk about that, right? But there's certain goalies that do well in those environments and some that don't. So that's something that we're going to have to keep an eye out on. Will Montembeau be able to adapt to Montreal playing better and being in the offensive zone more and having long stretches of time where he's not getting bombarded in his own zone? Maybe that's going to be tricky for him to adapt to. Maybe Dobesh is going to be better at doing that than he is. We don't know yet, but it's definitely something to keep an eye out on. All I know is that I'm happy for him that he got I think a good performance. They're going to need him. They're going to need him, Coach, and there's no question. Like it's going to be more of a split than we thought. Like we thought Montembeau maybe 55 to 58. 55 games is kind of where I felt we thought he was going to be. It might be a little bit more of an even split than we thought if things continue like this, for sure.
Great point about Mr. Samuel Montembeau. Super. Welcome to the house. Thanks. Toronto just won, so we need to win tomorrow. Kaden Cooley, bring him on the table. Do you think we miss him? I think for me, last night was one of the reason I think he will use him a lot. When you lost Dobson and Madison on the PK, I think we're starting to missing Ken Coley, in my opinion.
Oh, Coach, you're trying to get me in trouble because, listen, is PLW here tonight? I haven't seen him here, but he would be all over me if I said this. But maybe last night, Coach, but overall, would you say that Montreal, like that Struble hasn't done a good job filling in for Gooley playing with Hudson?
I think we miss him on the special team. I think on PK is really where we're missing him. But I think that we stabilize more the defense in Montreal Canadiens. Kenny Coley over Strobel or over Jacky, they're helping more the Montreal Canadiens.
For sure. But here's my question, right? And that we've had I brought this up before and I've gotten killed for it on here, but it's coming up in other places. Like it's some people are starting to talk about it a bit more. There's no question that maybe you lose a little bit with Struble and Gooley, but is it enough? Are you losing enough there that you wouldn't consider, if you had to include him in the trade to get that second, like the quality second line center? And I'm not talking Kadri, right? Like not somebody that's going to be like a year or two, but
Yeah.
Let's say it's like a good, like somebody that's going to be there for, like
Matthew
part of the
Bernier
core.
example.
Yeah, like somebody like Dvorsky or like a player like that, like a young center that's going to be with the team that matches the timeline, all that.
Yeah.
Is it a piece that you can sacrifice? Would they be a bit weaker? Yes. But the biggest strength that Montreal has right now is on their back end, right? So, yeah. So are they missing Gouli? Yes, for sure. But not as much as I thought. Struble is doing, I think, overall an excellent job. There's no question that there's amazing chemistry between Hudson and Struble. Like, if you look at the numbers, coach, like since last year when Gouli went down, it was probably Hudson's most productive time of the season during that time, playing with the metrics show. No question. Yeah, is PLW here? Like, I haven't seen him tonight
No,
anytime, but
he's not here yet.
yeah, for sure he would get worked up. And again, it's easy for people to say Marko hates Caden Gouli. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that is he more valuable to Montreal as a piece to go get that second line center? No question that they're better with him in the lineup, but how much better is the question.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Cooley, it would be better to have him on the top four. We don't have a solid top four. Mike Mason will be 32 years old. When the next 3-4 years, he will be 36, 37. A long term, I think it would be better to have Cooley inside of that team. I think the sample is too short, but I think for me, it's really on the PK. We're really missing our physical team from the net. We're really missing Caden Cooley. I understand you can pick up that kind of goal, the players, but I think we should trade something else to get that center on that one who develop, honestly, the second center for the Montreal Canadiens. So to what Touré said, I would say no. Do not trade him for that one. GF is in the house. Dan is in the house. Bob, we have Nicholas knock the door also. So thanks everybody. Don't forget, guys, click on like. I just want to move quicker, Marco, because we had to hit 47. We are a little bit talk too much. But one more. Patrick Laine, do you expect him to be with the Montreal Canadiens at the end of the season?
Well, I don't know, coach, what's going to happen there. Like it's going to be very hard for him, depending on what they do here, right? Like, it's going to be hard for him to integrate back in. I can't say that Joe Veleno is like, cementing a stop or a position with the team, but he does bring something that Laine doesn't. Like his face-off rate is pretty decent on the left side. Still think they need an upgrade in that position, but I just don't know where you put Patrick Laine, how you integrate him back into the lineup. So there's just a lot of uncertainty there. I remember there was some talk about they were looking at extending Patrick Laine. I would be shocked if that's the case. And you just sort of, coach, maybe people don't realize how the new the rules work in terms of salary cap. Moving forward, like you can't have Patrick Laine just appear in the playoffs. You have to have a salary cap compliant team in the playoffs. So you could have him there, right? But you wouldn't be able to play him because you actually, unless you took out the equivalent amount of money. So I don't think that's going to work, right? It's not one of those things where, like a Kucherov situation, where you just, kind of keep on LITR for the whole season. Those days are over, unfortunately. It would be nice if it was there for Montreal this year, but we'll have to see. Like, it wouldn't be impossible to be able to move Laine at the deadline if they'd be willing to give up an asset, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be traded at the trade deadline, I believe, or he's not going to be returned with Montreal for next season. But yes, for that one, Marco, ask you. And Artap ask you. For Marco, would you take change if Coley was not as an injury prone?
No, I think that's part of it, right? Like, I still think that, again, you always trade from your position of strength, and to try to kind of fill up places where you're a bit weaker, right? And there's no question to me, Montreal's strength is on defense. Like, so yes, coach, you're saying that maybe they'd be a bit weaker, but don't forget, like, we still haven't even talked about Reinbacher in the next couple of years. There's still Engstrom down there, and like you said, like you can still, if you want like a defensive somebody to kill penalties, those are guys that you can find on the market, right? So again, yeah, Enertap, like it is part of the calculation. Like Gouli has yet to show us that he can be healthy, and he has a lot of value in the marketplace. Again, if you can trade and get a second line center without taking pieces off your team, um, wonderful. But again, I'm saying that I'm not saying they have to trade Gouli, right? But if they had to trade something off their team, all I'm saying is that we're not feeling the pain of not having Gouli. Remember, Coach, last year we were saying what would be more impactful: losing Nick Suzuki, losing Hudson, losing Gouli. Like, if you go for it, if you look at pieces that Montreal can go without, Gouli is like not in the top 5 for me of pieces that is devastating if they lose. Right?
Yeah.
It's the season doesn't go down the tube if Gouli's not there. But if you take Lane Hudson out of the lineup, I'm a little worried about the season. If you take out Nick Suzuki, I'm a little. If you take out Caulfield, but it's proving out that without Caden Gouli, they can do okay, and that says a lot.
I agree with you about that. A2, welcome in the house. We have a question. Will Madison be offered a contract from him, from Mr. UK? 5 years at $6 million. Can always buy out last year with Cody always getting injured. Madison is an important player for Montreal.
100%, Coach. Like, it's looking more and more that way, right? Like, how could you not? Like, for those you've probably heard me say this before on like my philosophy, if I was a general manager, which I'll never get to be, but the only problem I have signing players over 30 is if their skating isn't elite. If their skating is elite, I have absolutely no issue signing, not 8 years, right? But I have no problem signing somebody that's 32 or 33 to like a 4 or 5 year contract if their skating is elite, because they're going to be able to be of use to you in different ways, because as long as they can be mobile, they'll always have a utility. And to me, Mike Matheson is, top 10 in the league in terms of on the back end in terms of skating, at least. Like, he's elite, and so to me, I don't have any issues extending him. But again, like, if you keep Gouli, like that's what I keep saying, right? There's only so many spots back there, and you can only have so much budget allocated to your back end as well. But
Yeah, absolutely.
it will happen. They'll offer him an extension for sure.
We're going to skip the sold out our first guy. We have too many things to talk about, so I don't want to miss what we work on it. So we have 35 minutes to go. Calgary take the lead 1-0 on the first 56 seconds of the game. Capital lead 6-1. Wilson scored his second goal of the game. You said you would bring Corey Perry back. No, not allowed for Corey Perry. And there are a lot of comments in the chat. We're going to move on the Habs home check for Marko, and I'm going to give you your first board, and also I'm going to give you guys below the goal again, everything like that, so you get all the information. 2-0 now for the Flames. They score another goal. 1 minute 30 seconds the game, guys. Blake Coltman scored the Flames late 2-0 against the Blue Jackets.
Wow, the mystery of who's the goalie again for Columbus? The young guy,
Graves.
Graves. Yeah, like he was so hot at the end of last year, but they were really hoping for him, but not a strong start for him so far. All right, so guys, we're that part of the show. So again, the name of the show is Habs Hump Day, right? And every once in a while we'll check in on some key performance indicators and some specific kind of like pieces of information that we're keeping track of during the season. At the beginning of the season, we did kind of like an estimate or kind of a prediction of where Montreal would need to be at different stages in order to be in the mix. So you can see this graph here, Coach. Like, so there's it's hard for it's hard to see for me here, but like there's different kind of parts of this gauge, right? Like, so if you're looking at this, you're looking at Are they a lottery team in the red, orange? They're no playoffs. Blue in the mix. In the lighter green, it's contending, and then the dark green is elite. So as you can see right now, for goals for, so far after 13 games, Montreal is number 2 in the NHL for goals per game, guys, at 3.7 goals per game. That's way above the target. What we were targeting was, we were hoping that they were going to be top 10 in the NHL, maybe 3.2 goals per game. So they are way outperforming the estimate, or the minimum that we would want them to have in order to be competitive. So, and listen, you don't need to be, this is not like this is not like kind of like a revelation I'm sharing with you guys. Like, just watching the games, you can see they're explosive team offensively, super fun to watch. But in terms of goals per game, they're leading right at the top of the NHL. So really exciting, coach. And as you point out, last year, what a difference, right? Like 35 goals for after the same period of time, 2.69 goals per game. That's like a full goal per game difference, which is unreal. Unreal. So what this tells me, coach, is, and again, remember I was mentioning to you before, the one thing to remember, we were talking about Martin St. Louis, you have to look at the truth, guys. They're number 2 in the NHL in goals, but they are the lowest. There's the last place in the league when it comes for shots on goal every game per game, and they have the highest shooting percentage in the NHL. So what does that tell us, coach? Is maybe Montreal is a little bit overperforming right now offensively. I think that's fair to say. So listen, let's enjoy the ride. Like the power play right now is on a heater as well. And we'll look at the power play numbers in a bit. But so guys, just don't be shocked if this goes down a little bit, because the team shooting percentage is a little high. Would you agree, coach?
Oh, yeah, absolutely about that. I agree with you about this. The shooting before the game yesterday was 14.1 was lead in NHL. So I think they're
Yeah.
increasing more yesterday. It's not
Yeah.
normal. It's above. And I think, honestly, they should be dropped. And also, I'll go to everybody, guys. Montreal Canadiens is not top 5 in NHL. That's simple to tell you the truth here. I don't want to be the negative. So, coach, come on. Montreal is not top 5 in NHL. They play over their head a little bit more. They get point where they're not supposed to get point. I can go all the way like that. But I think Montreal is more a team to have a better year for me is a team between 12 to 15, in my opinion, in NHL. I'll be very happy if Montreal make the playoff, finish 3rd or 4th on the wild card, whatever they call it. But right now they just play over their head. And that bring now the goal again, Marko, 3.1. And last season they was a 4.08. And this, guys, is the number of the game, by the way. It's number, Marco, every game I give you last season, it's not like the average for the year. It's what they at. Like next week, we have a 16 game on whatever it is. I bring the number below that, Marco.
Yeah, so this is after 13 games, looking at it year over year. So, and guys, like we talked about this on top of the show, right? Like, if you maybe we blocked it out because it's traumatic, right? But let's not forget the first 13 games for the Montreal Canadiens last year was an absolute shit show, right? To be honest, it was terrible, right? So this is not surprising. So listen, it's a good improvement for sure year over year. And I think overall Montreal is playing better defensively. Like they're not allowing as many high danger chances. Their shots per game has definitely went down as well. I didn't share the numbers here, but definitely their shots allowed per game is down as well. So looking really good here, guys. But they are a bit higher than a bit lower than what we want. They're still 19th in the NHL for goals per game. What we would like to see them, like what we'd like to see, coach, ideally top 10 in the NHL in offense, top 15 in the NHL defensively. That's kind of where we would like to see. So right now, they're overperforming on the offensive side of the puck, and I'd like to see them kind of clean up a little bit on the defensive side and on the goals allowed side. But still, tremendous improvement over last year, but still some room for improvement there in terms of goals against per game.
Great point about that. We have and Peter August is in the house. Luc Laforcine, welcome back, my friend. Thanks to be with our kid. I too knocked the door. Talk about Mayu. We have a question for Mark Elliott. Before we move on, I wait for that question happen now because I knew we're going to talk about the power play, the goal against. Is coming. He asked you about. Geez, no, I forgot. Would you change this one? I think you have to go there. Hold on. Mark, we talk about Cooley. Do you trade? Is it better to trade keep Cooley and Madison, I believe, over trade Carrier?
But guys, okay, so I saw some of the things go by in the chat, like you're talking about trading different players. Like you have to realize, like to get something as like to get an elite second line center, that's not,
Excuse,
35.
Marco, I will do it again. I got it now. So,
Okay,
do you prefer to get Cooley plus Carrier on the team or Cooley plus Trouble and the trade Carrier?
So it's kind of the same point that I was going to make, Coach. Like trading Carrier is not going to get you a second line center, even if you combine it with a whole bunch of other things. If you're going to, if a team's going to trade away a true second line center, one that fits in the timeline for the Montreal Canadiens, it's going to cost you. It's going to be freaking expensive. So to me, you have to look at kind of what you're willing to sacrifice. So trading Carrier and Struble or combining it with like whichever players you want to, like Beck or like any combination of players, that's not going to happen. Like Montreal doesn't have, and people are going to, again, fans usually overvalue the prospects they have in their own organization, Coach. Montreal doesn't have that many blue chip prospects anymore, other than Fowler, that's not playing in the NHL. I don't know if you can call Zurofsky a blue chip prospect. Like he's, I think, like a bit of a steal in the second round, but like a blue chip prospect is like, somebody that was like like an elite player, that was drafted, right? Like, so I don't think you can call Zurofsky that. I don't even know if you call Michael Hage a blue chip prospect. Like it's a very good prospect, but I don't know. So Montreal doesn't have a lot of blue chip assets. So if you want to trade for a second line center, I don't think combining different assets, like, whoever you wanted, like Engstrom and then you Carrier and you add that with Beck or with Kapanen, like, I don't know if that gets you there. So that's all I'm saying.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. Coach Frenchy and Marko.
So that's a big one, Coach, right? Like, so looking at last year, minus 18. Whoa. Like, I think, yeah,
It was good to bring that to you, Marco, because that gave us a little bit a good where
for
we
sure.
are.
Yeah, that's a really good addition there, Coach, for sure. It adds context, right? And like I remember last year, I think probably Doc was like minus 12 by this point already. Like it was crazy. There's some players that were just so in the negative by this point. But so far, just overall from a goal differential, Montreal is +8. So 48 goals for, 40 against. That's very healthy. Like what I was looking for is for them to be, in the top 15 of the NHL. If you were like +10, you would have been in like, maybe 18th overall in terms of goal differential last year. So if Montreal can be somewhere around like +10, I think they're going to be in good shape, right? Like it's very rare. The reason we track this one, Coach, it's very rare that teams that have a negative goal differential make the playoffs. Last year, Montreal was one of the rare teams that does that. The year before that, Washington was also an exception that made the playoffs, but it doesn't happen very often. So if we double click on that, to the other one that we were looking at is it's goal differential, but for 5-on-5, because I think that tells a lot as well. I don't know if you had that one there as well, there, Coach. There you go.
And our
Oh,
power play
okay.
example right there.
Okay.
I have the next one. Want to get 5-on-5?
Yeah. Just because it ties in with this one, right? So, so we're talking about goal differential. One other thing to look at, guys, and if this is we started looking at this because PLW used to bring it up in the chat a lot. So if you take away power plays, like just 5-on-5, Montreal is still net positive, right? They're still +4, overall for the season, allowing 26 goals Sorry, I can't see the graph is kind of fuzzing out for whatever reason for me here.
5-on-5 goal again, 24. And the goal again, 5-on-5, 28. Differential 4.
28 to 24. Yeah, 28 to 24. So +4. So this is again something that we look at, guys. And overall, like Montreal's 5-on-5 play is pretty good. It can be better, but overall, a goal differential is kind of an important one. So just wanted to point that out as well. We should call this one the PLW slide
Yeah.
that we do. Yeah. All right.
And
so going
definitely
back,
the one here, very important for me.
this is a big one here, Coach. So last time that we looked at this, Coach, like we were, I think, at 17%. The last time we did one of these. So now at 30%, just 6 in the NHL. They're on a heater right now, right? Like, what are they, like 5 for 7 in the last couple games or something on the power play? Like, it's crazy. Like, since Demidov was put on the first unit, it's just a total game changer, right? And then 75% on the PK. So, that is not really kind of where we would like to see them. Like, again, last year, Coach, they finished 11th. So we were looking for them to at least kind of, be somewhere not too far off where they were last year. Right now, they're 22nd in the NHL on the PK. So, we're looking for them to be in that range of between 102 to 110 for the combined score for their PK and their PP. And so the number is there. 105 is a very good number, right? But look, it's not that much different from last year. Last year was at 104, but that's because their penalty kill was amazing, right? So, it's interesting to me. Like, so again, that we're excited to have the power play be where it needs to be. But even if you just look at the game last night, back to back, shorthanded or goals given up on the power play. So the penalty kill needs to be better. There's no question about that. And it kind of highlighted the fact that they were playing Dvorak last night. Dvorak was just torching Montreal in the face-off dot last night. So Montreal still, I don't think they've quite found. Obviously, Evans is still eating up a lot of those minutes, right? But still something not clicking on the PK, Coach, obviously, because 22nd in the NHL is far from where they need to be. It's so critical during games. Sometimes the numbers can be deceptive too. It's not really sometimes the full percentage, but it's the timing of getting the penalty kill, right? And sometimes the timing has not been very good either, allowing teams to kind of come back in games, tying games, going ahead. So overall, listen, it's better than last year, especially the power play. I don't know, Coach. Like, are you worried about the PK at this stage? Like, what's your take on
I
the
said
PK?
early. I think like I said early, my goalie when you be back will be better, but I still worry about the second unit like Kapanen and Hook. I think Kapanen it was the last again over there. But this is it's like anything else. Still early. I think they need to take a little bit more time to get that kind of chemistry. And unfortunately, last night they got 2 of them. But if they can handle me, I said 78, 79, that'll be enough. Because you're going to have that adjustment. Because their specialty on 104 guys, this is excellent, by the way. This is great. So they can drop this power play, and normally this should be dropped, and then you pick it up. I think overall that'd be good. But like you said, no worry yet. Keep it a bit simple. Still a little bit early, but something we have to pay attention. We said that. I think we dropped them about 77, 78 at the beginning of the season. So we have to wait.
Do you find that they're playing differently this year? Like, is it just personnel? But I find them to be a little bit more passive. Like, they're very aggressive. Like, the time that they do the best is when they're aggressive before the team brings the puck in, right? Like, they're very aggressive in the neutral zone, right? Like, adding pressure at different points. But I find that when the team sets up though in the offensive zone, that's where they're a little bit too passive, especially when it's Kapanen and Newhook, and they end up getting stuck on a bit too long.
Yeah, I think yesterday you missed, right? When you don't have the 2 best defensemen of PK, that's hurt yesterday for sure. I think the second unit is a little bit less aggressive than we're looking for. When you look at a good PK yesterday, I think after that. So we have to wait a little bit more what's going to happen around. We're going to get about the breakdown, guys. And the breakdown, Marko, is what?
Breakdown is where we kind of take a look at kind of how players are trending, right? Like, so again, it's a little bit, it's we're losing focus of that because Montreal is so high in the standings right now. But this year, guys, if you refocus a little bit, this year is still about roster construction. This is not a finished product, the Montreal Canadiens. They made the playoffs last year for the first time. This year, we're hoping that they were going to kind of build upon that. But there's still a lot of questions on this roster. There's still a lot of questions that Hughes and Gordon need to answer in terms of how they're going to construct this roster to be a perennial Stanley Cup competitive team, right? And that means that there's certain players that are on the team right now that probably won't be on the team in 2 to 3 years from now, guys. They're not going to be part of this core. So in order to make the right decisions, what we do is we track how are these players trending, and are they part of what's going to be the Montreal Canadiens as we move forward into this new era of what we hope will be 10 years of being really competitive for the Stanley Cup. So that's what we do. We take a look at some of these players that are trending, Coach.
Welcome, Michael. Willen, they did not have one centerman over 50% on the draw yesterday. Marco, that's what it comments, and the other ones.
But it's situational though. Like it's when he won the faceoffs, right? Like when on the power play on the PK. So again, maybe the overall percentage, but if you look at the percentage in the defensive zone and the offensive zone, it was still he won some pretty key draws.
Great point about that. For me, so what I did, Marco, I gave up all of these guys some stock market up. I want to all of you agree. Marco is going to give us his point of view about that. So, who a stock is rising or falling? Marco, stock up. For me, Demidov, Sakoski, and New Hook. Now you can have more players. You can add this in the chat. If you disagree, now this should be not maybe stock to watch or maybe decreasing. Let us know. If you have other players, Marco, you can go. I don't want to get like 20. Right now Montreal have a lot of players could be there. So I ignore Caulfield, Hudson, and Suzuki on that one.
Yeah, like the whole point of this, Coach, is we already know certain players are part of the core, like you said.
Yeah,
Suzuki,
exactly.
Right, so even to me, Demidov and Slav, like I think it's pretty clear that they're going to be.
But when I look about this, what he did last week, so because he had 3 goals since last week, 3 goals on power play. That's the reason is right there. Demidov at 4 points last week. And New Hook, what a great week he has last week also. New Hook. So I took those 2 players versus what the other players.
Yeah. So for me, the one that I pay attention to in particular on this one is New Hook, because New Hook for me is one of those guys that you can debate whether he's going to be a guy that's going to be here, or do they have like a different type of player that they could put into a spot, right? So to me, that's the one I would focus on in this slide in terms of stock being up. And I agree 100%. Like he is the new Josh Anderson from last year, right? They gave him a job, they gave him a focus, and it's impacted positively the rest of his game, right? So he's really focused in on using his speed to play better on both sides of the puck. He's kind of the defensive conscience on that Kapanen line with Demidov, and then he's playing on the PK. And overall, I think it's added more patience to his game. We think that ultimately it's very when you're somebody that's as fast as New Hook, sometimes it's easy like to Russ Courtnall or kind of like that situation where you're almost too fast and you go ahead of the play sometimes. So I find that like using his speed in a smart way, he's making a case, Coach, and that's what this segment for me is about. He's making a case that he's an important part of this team. And he's going to be an important piece moving forward because he's using his feet and his speed in the smart way, and he's learning to play and to complement very good players. So I agree. To me, yeah, for sure, Demidov and Slav, both their stock are up. To me, they are locks to be part of the core and the solution moving forward. To me, the biggest story here is New Hook making a case that he's an important guy for the team.
Celebrini scored a goal, take the lead 1-0 for the Sharks again. The Kraken for celebrating his 8th of the year. Interesting to talk about Tobesh, but I would be honest with you. I did not put him there because he had 2 average game, the last 2 games, in my opinion. That's the reason I did not put him on that one.
Coach, like to me, the one guy that I think is missing on here is Struble. Like Struble, I think you can say his stock is up.
Struble, I will tell you why I did not put him. His mistake he created against the Kraken. Really bad mistake there. And then after that, he got a penalty following that one over there. And he did not do much overall. He did good,
I don't know.
but not great, in my opinion, to make it fun for the Montreal Canadiens.
I think overall, I disagree, Coach. Like, yeah, like everybody makes mistakes. Like, I that's a game of mistakes, right? But you know, he had the fight with Cousins. I think he made up for that mistake with the penalty that he took and everything else. Like, I think again, like similar to what we were talking about before, to come in and be as effective as he is. Like to me, I look at it as
I can tell you the same thing with Jacky. Jacky, again, Delorier, Jacky plays solid game.
Yeah, but he played way less, Coach. Like Struble is playing way more minutes than Jacky, and he's playing way more important minutes than Jacky is.
So I think for me, Coach, never forgive Luc about that one. You're right about this. Stuck down, Marco, and I put 2 of them, honestly. Josh Anderson and Samuel Montembeault. Some people said maybe Jake Evans, but I was telling you honestly, guys, Jake Evans does a good job for what he is named for. Like, you don't expect Jake Evans scoring like 30 points, everything like that. It's not the role I'm talking about. Josh Anderson is supposed to bring offensive with his play. I know he's doing well with on the PK with Jake Evans. I understand that. But I think he needs to bring more on the offensive side. Samuel Montembeault, we know whatsoever have a good game yesterday. An average, little bit better game yesterday was not good enough for me.
Yeah. So again, looking at this from the perspective of players are trying to prove to the management team, guys, look at me. I want to be part of this team moving forward as we become a contender for the Stanley Cup for the next several years. That's what these players, let's assume that's what they're trying to prove every game. Every week that goes by, they're being evaluated as to whether are you a guy that's going to be here when we really want to win, right? And to me, Anderson, if you asked me that question about Josh Anderson at the beginning of the year, remember Martin Saint-Louis was talking about how Josh Anderson was a huge play driver. He was a culture driver for the Montreal Canadiens, right? But this year, like, again, it's not that he's been bad, but he certainly hasn't been as impactful, certainly not as physical. You're not seeing him as much. And so I agree with you, Coach. Like if Anderson, because his contract is, it's coming up here, right? So he's got to make an argument. Montreal has a lot of young players, like we talked about Florian, we talked about Thorpe. Like different players are going to come in and maybe push for those bottom 6 roles to play physical and everything else. So I would say I agree with you. Like his Anderson stock down a little bit. And if he wants to prove to the management team that he's going to be a solution moving forward, and part of what we're doing here, he's going to need to go back to what we saw last year and be more impactful. Montembeault, I think there's no question about. Like I think we talked about it a lot. Definitely on the downswing, but let's see what happens after last game. We might see the drop might have ended, and that we might start to see that go up a little bit.
So I'm going to add more people. The people talk in the chat. Jake Evans, Joe Villano. Then we have to talk about Kapanen on that list I mentioned to you.
I would agree. I would agree with Joe Villano, Coach. Not because he's been bad, but he hasn't been good enough to secure a spot long term. Like if Joe Villano wants to really secure a spot, like again, the way I'm looking at this, Coach, is you're trying to convince the management team that you're going to be part of the team moving forward here. So Joe Villano has been okay, right? But he hasn't, like his faceoff percentage has been decent, and they definitely need that. They need a left-handed guy to take faceoffs. But like there's a couple of plays like he needs to be a little tighter defensively. There was that goal there against Montembeault, the one where he kind of cleared it in front of the net, but didn't really clear it really strong, and it ended up right on the stick of Drake Batherson against Ottawa. So you have little plays like that there. He's not really creating that much offensively at all. It's not like you're expecting him to create a lot, but you need a little bit from your bottom six, and we haven't really seen anything from him at all. So it's not that he's bad. I'd say because he's flat, he's not getting worse or better. To me, that's bad because he needs to show the Canadians and the NHL that he belongs in the NHL. And I don't think, again, he's not convinced me that he's a must-have in the Montreal Canadiens lineup right now.
Now, talk to us for the next week, Marco. I put two of them. I put Zachary Bolduc. The reason because he had 4 goals, and the last 3-4 games, it's I understand we play with Juvenile, Dak, Doc. I understand that, but still, I feel like right now he is a little bit on the bubble. I can call it bubble. I believe now he's going to be with Doc and of course with Gallagher, and then Tobesh because of Tobesh and. It's not like negative when I put them there, by the way, Marco. It's just to watch what they look like.
It has to go down. It has to go down eventually. The guy's unbeaten, right? Like it's hard. It's hard to get higher, right? So if you're betting, if you're looking at this as stocks, you're buying high, right? It's like buying, kind of like a stock when it's too high, right? So it's likely that Dobesh stock will go down a little bit, but it's not to say that it's a bad thing. I'm glad you're bringing up Bolduc, Coach, because I feel like since the beginning of training camp, there's a little bit of like rose-tinted glasses when it comes to Bolduc. Like everybody just repeats, and that's kind of what we see in media a lot. Like people repeat what other people say, right? Because it becomes groupthink is what I call it. And so everybody loves Bolduc. What a great trade, Bolduc. Exactly. It's going to be a great trade. He's gritty. He's physical. So we kind of drank the Kool-Aid, and I'm not saying that's not what he's going to be, but that's definitely not what I've seen consistently from him. And to your point, maybe he hasn't played in the top 6 or whatever. But listen, players find ways to kind of be seen, and they find ways to have impact in the game. So if you look carefully, Coach, and I challenge you guys, go back and watch or listen to when Martin Saint-Louis talks about Zachary Bolduc. You can see you can read between the lines. He's not 100% satisfied with what he's getting from him either. There's some comments well, it's a new system for him. Still some work to he's not criticizing him, but you can see that there's still some work to he needs to improve his game in terms of how he's reading plays and how so I agree, Coach. This is a stock to watch. We're gonna see they had a pretty good game last night. That line did have success. Doc, Gallagher, and Bolduc together. I think everybody and their dog wants to eventually see Demidov with Bolduc. We all want to see that. Still haven't seen it. So I think that would be fun to see. But I agree with you. That's for sure. That's the one to watch. This is a big trade that they made, right? Say what you want about Mayu, maybe struggling a little bit in St. Louis. This is still they moved a big asset in order to get Bolduc, right-handed defenseman. So yeah, this is one to watch. I'm still confident that he's going to be a good player, but I definitely would like to see more, and he needs to kind of be a bit more consistent with what he's doing.
It's happened to him last season with St. Louis Blues. Before he got a couple of goals in a power play, he was held to scratch by Jim Montgomery, and the mention was his inconsistency, the stop to hit or everything like that. So you need to pick it up there. Question for A2: if one of the 2 goalies get hurt, do you call Fuller or you call Kakkonen?
So, excellent question. If you don't want to repeat, if there's one thing that we learned from the Caden Primo era, right, is you never want to call your best prospect to just come in and sit on the bench in the NHL and back up, right? Fowler needs to play games. So to me, for sure, you're not calling up Fowler. This year is all about Fowler having a full year of pro and doing all that. So unless you're going to have Fowler come up and be your number 1 goalie and play most of the games, you don't bring him up. You don't want him wasting development time. sitting on the bench. That being said, if you were to call him up for a week just to give him a taste or something like that, that's fine. I think that's totally fine to do. But you should not be using him as a backup in the NHL. That's why they went and got Kakkonen to be there
I
as
agree
a
with you.
third
Look
goal.
at Fortin's Kakkonen too. I go with Kakkonen on that one. Too early to bring Fowler, first of all, in my opinion. And then you can
Yeah,
reevaluate and after January, Marco, if he deserves to get there a couple of games if you have to. But right now, I will go with Kakkonen about that. Marco, going to finish well more, but I think I want to bring you here. NHL, who are up? Tampa Bay, Toronto, Utah, Kings, down, Florida, Washington, Nashville, Chicago. If you have any other team or if you think they are just sharing with other people, maybe some teams, of course, you have some result tonight could change there. But again, it's evaluations. It's a bit like a power ranking. Marco, I like the fact it's stuck for us. But you agree, disagree?
like we said, there's so much parity, coach. It's hard. Like literally, like you said, losing 2 games, you could drop like 5 positions in the standings. Like if you lose 2 games, and so that's crazy. So you try not to focus too much on the standings. And I know as Montreal Canadiens fans, everybody's excited about where they are in the standings. But guys, don't be shocked. Like if Montreal, like you said, coach, if Montreal somehow is able to finish top 3 in the Atlantic this season, that would be such a huge surprise still. So right now, like I'm a little concerned that people are like locked into the fact that Montreal is like first place in the Atlantic, coach. Like, I don't know if that's sustainable, guys. That's going to be very hard to do. So anyways, all to say, I agree with your list here. Like these Tampa, definitely much better than the beginning of the season. I still like Toronto. They're getting points, coach, but if you watch the games, I don't like how they're playing. So I'm not sure. Maybe in terms of getting points, they're trending up, but I still don't like how they're playing. Utah for sure. LA has been playing better as well. So I think these are probably right. I think Anaheim would be on that list of up as well. I would probably replace Anaheim for Toronto on this list.
Yeah.
Down, Florida like they're I think they're last place right now in the Eastern Conference or at least in the
Yep.
Atlantic
No, you're
Division.
right.
So listen, there's a lot of circumstances that go into that. But yeah, it's definitely I'm not that concerned. I still think they're probably gonna find their way to make it back. They're just too good of a team, and they just play well as a team. But they just have a lot going on. Washington, coach, I think a lot of people like every year we talked about this all summer because during the summer we're always looking for things to talk about. One of the things we brought up this summer, this is an interesting statistic, but every year there's always one team, okay, that had over 100 points the year before that doesn't make the playoffs. That happens over the last, I think, 3 to 4 years. It always happens. I think most people, if they had to pick a team, they were thinking maybe Washington would be that team, right? Because almost everything that could have went right for Washington last year went right for Washington last year. Now you have Dubois that's injured. The team's 1 year older. And so I listen. Like I think they're going to still be okay, but I agree they're trending a bit down. Chicago is so much fun to watch, coach. Chicago, I think they're doing better than I thought they were going to do this year. Like, so overall, I think Bedard has definitely kind of, he's like a new guy, right? Like just a lot more energized, a lot more passionate. And I think it's a totally different player and you can feel it off that team. Like they're definitely going to be a pest this year. So,
Now
I
again,
think they have,
those information, guys, is it's about what happened last week and where they are to this
yeah,
week. So it's not like
yeah,
uh, Chicago play better and then you go, but they lost the last 2 games, and you can see they starting. They are 0-1 the last 3 games for Chicago.
yeah.
But I watch them every night, Marco. And I'm telling you now, this is a team completely like surprised me because the system with Basil is very good right now. And they play. This is a team, guys, and the only one here played with 7 defensemen in the beginning of the season, Marco, and 11 forward. They've been like this all year long. So about that, do you think that the dog can wait 5 more minutes?
Sorry. Yeah. We can do another 5 minutes.
All right,
For sure.
5 more minutes, guy, because I did a really good clash for Marco tonight. So I want to get there right there. And I have Alexander Zarowski. We can talk maybe when Marco leave. But everybody, thanks everybody. Don't forget, guys, click on like, rate. Claude Richard will come in the house. So absolutely not. It's about what's going on. It's a little bit like a stock market, a stop watch. But let me know what you think. One of the 2 teams, Detroit, Utah, in the playoff.
And I can't say both. I could only pick one.
You can, yeah, you can. Is it one of the 2? It's absolutely, and then you can tell me if which team, or you said both of them would be in the playoff.
Yeah. So I'm going to say Utah for sure. I think is going to make the playoffs. Like I just think in their division, I think there's been regression with some other teams. So I think they're gonna find a way to make it. Detroit, it's going to be like I think they had a really good start here, similar to Montreal. I still have a lot of questions about their defense coach. So I think they're going to fall a bit short, but they're going to be right in the mix for that wild card. With Montreal, they're going to be right there with Montreal. So I for sure Utah, I think, but still not sure about Detroit.
Great point about that. I feel the same way like you, Marco, about absolute people in the chat. You can answer, Ron, everything. M26, people are impressed by Mammoth. Utah play against Montreal, so you're going to see that team this weekend. A lot of great players over there. Thanks, Luc, to answer. The next one, Marco, one of the 2 teams, Washington, Florida, out of the playoff. I know it's not. I think it would be good. This is a good question, Marco.
That's a tough one. Like, I still think both of these will make the playoffs. Yeah, I'm going to say not at all. I think until further notice, ask me this in another month and see. But at this stage, like, there's just not enough data to show that that they're not going to do it right. Like, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Look at Washington blowing out St. Louis today again. So we'll see. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say not at all.
Did you make the playoff? I would say absolutely. I think Washington are going to be out of the playoff. Maybe also Florida. Washington, so Marco, you watch them right now. It's not looking good. Yeah. Now they score 6-1 tonight. It's the Blues, but Ovechkin struggling. Dubois may be out for a couple of weeks. I just don't feel good about the Washington right now.
Who do you have top 3 in the Metro then? Yeah, Carolina. You've got New Jersey.
Devils. All right.
Yeah.
And then
New Jersey.
I'm sorry.
So New Jersey, Carolina. Who's the 3rd team?
After that is all the mix. After that, you have Columbus right there. Now Pittsburgh play right there, but I don't think so. It'll be interesting. Yes, understand that. I just feel Washington, it's going to be very hard for them to do that. So I go with absolutely. Anyway, Florida, I think there will be another team could be in the trouble, Marco. And baseball, Marco, it's happened a lot. 30 home run, 30 stolen base. You have the 40-40 and you have the 50-50. And in NHL, it's rare. You have a guy's have 30 goals and 300 hit. So I apologize on that one. But 300 hit, Marco.
Kiefer Sherwood, coach. Like, if there's a player, like, let's say Vancouver ends up bottoming out, I don't think he'd be available. But that's the kind of player that Montreal would really need to kind of find, right? Like, what a great energy player that I love this guy. Even last year, like, he was really impactful for. Yeah, this is very rare for sure. Like, I don't know if he'll get to 30 goals, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 300 hits. He led the NHL in hits last year. I think even 20, 25 goals would be incredible performance and output for Sherwood. But really, really intense player. Love that guy. Definitely the type of player that Montreal should target for their bottom 6.
Yeah, I agree with you. Not alone on that one, but very interesting. Really fun to watch his story, Sherwood, about that one. Let's move on to the next one. One of this team, Anaheim Saddle and the playoff, Marco.
Ooh, that's a tough one too. I think like Seattle has a more kind of like mature game. They have more. So if you're betting, like you would bet a little bit on Seattle in terms of the maturity of their team, the balance of their team, but raw talent wise, like Anaheim has it. Goaltending, you kind of give the edge to Anaheim. But Decord's been good, but I still give the edge to Dostal. So I'm gonna say Anaheim, but it makes me a little bit nervous how young they are and everything else. But again, with that division, like
But they have a
I
lot of
think they
great. They have a lot of veterans too at the same time. You have
yeah, yeah.
Veterano,
No, you're right.
Kudas, Truba,
You're
Grader. Terry is not
right.
young anymore on that team too. Uh,
Right.
Dostal is going very good right now. He reminds me a lot of Dustin Wolf from opinion right now. This team is going to be. I go in with Anaheim. Like I go in, and
Yeah.
then if you look about this guy, yes, Vegas, yes, Edmonton, but after that, Kings
LA.
and Vancouver and everything else is not guaranteed there. So for me, I put them there.
Yeah. Seattle, like I said, like I think they play well as a team. Like they have good team concept and everything, and they have decent depth, but they don't have nearly the amount of talent that Anaheim has, like explosively. So I think I give the edge to Anaheim too.
Other people say yes, who said no about Anaheim, but I love the game. Here we go, guys. Last one of the night. Um, all four champion team division last season. Toronto, Washington, Winnipeg, and Vegas. Now, are they going won't finish first again this year? Absolutely or not?
So will all of them? No, I don't think Washington, you know,
Only one
will they
of
make
them, right? Is
oh
one
yeah.
finish. So just the question is
Yeah.
out. One of the four teams last season, do you believe one of them is going to finish first?
Yeah, I think there's at least one of them that won't finish first. And I would guess that's Washington. I think Carolina is probably gonna finish first in that division, or New Jersey. So yeah, for sure I don't see them. They won the President's Trophy last year, even Washington. So I don't think they're gonna be there. And Toronto, like again, they could get there. I wouldn't be surprised if Toronto wins again. But yeah, so at least Washington, I have confidence saying that they're not going to win their division.
The only Vegas for me is the team could win the Pacific Division. That's only one I.
You don't think Toronto can win the Atlantic still?
Who?
You don't think Toronto can win the Atlantic division?
No, no. Toronto is out.
Why? Why would you say that?
Toronto.
Yeah.
Because of the goal expected, and they have another stats called the GB, whatever it was. It was one of the worst in the NHL, and every year they decreasing about that. That's why I'll be honest with you. They only barely make it, Marco. Wild card for the Toronto, Marco.
We'll see. Like they have a very similar record than they did last year at this time, and they turned it on. Like so, but it is a much different team than last year.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Should be interesting.
Marco, I want to finish with one more before you leave because people need to know. And I want to, because people talk about the second center for Montreal Canadiens, guys. I'll be honest with you. I did not do anything and did not comment about this. The Kraken tied the game at Winterton. They scored a goal. I want to mention this. Montreal Canadiens are not going to trade for the center, ladies and gentlemen, because they have one. It's coming. It's called Alexander Zarovsky. Scored another goal today. 15 point, 15 game. What a great shot he did on that one, Marco. Unbelievable player, guys. Only 18 years old. He played catcher like he was playing that league for almost like 10 years, Marco. Another great shot. Look this shot. Boom. Inside pose. This maturity of this player and the way he play is unbelievable. Look, he's coming out, turn around, cut back. He did not do anything after that, but still, the guys, what a great hands he has. More I'm watching him day after day, guys. I'm just blew my mind. This is good. He's on power play, pick up the puck behind the net, a pass in front of the net. And Marco, this is going to be an interesting hockey player, Alexander Zarovsky. And it could burn a little bit like Demilov did at jumping right away there. And unbelievable what he is right now.
So, Coach, I thought you weren't going to stay up and watch a whole bunch of KHL games, but he might get you to change your mind, right? Like it's
They are early, Marco. That's the beauty of that this year. The middle was played at the end, like late, right? For him, he played 9:30, 8:30, 6 o'clock sometime my time. So I said, geez, like I passed my time. Only thing I don't do, Marco, I don't do
share
to
the clips.
on my X
Yeah,
account. I don't do. I just cut it for myself, everything like that. But what a great, great guys we have. This is another one you have to pay attention. Yes, Michael Ash, understand that, but this is going to be guys. And the first, Demidab, Zarovsky together, no doubt in my mind for that.
yeah. So listen, I think he's if you look at him, coach, like he has put on a little bit of weight. If he can put on another 15, 20 pounds, he is 6'1", right? So he's got the frame. Nobody questioned kind of his abilities, like his skills and everything. But if he's able to put that strength together, it's going to be an absolute steal in the second round for sure. Still not convinced that he's going to be a center. Think from what I've seen, like I have to see more, right? But if I had to guess, I think he's more of a winger. But we'll have to see, right? Like if he can play center, that would be amazing. But I think right now he is playing third line center on that team. So, but yeah, very exciting. He's threatening Demidov's like a rookie scoring record in the KHL that he
Yeah,
just broke
yeah, yeah,
last week.
yeah. I agree
So
with
like,
that. A couple people defensively in our type is really responsible about that. He plays center. They keep playing 16, 17 minutes. They don't stop him very well. Now, Bob's N26 talk about no single center for 2 more years. You need to find a second center now. Now, it could get a transition because early N26 was talking about, trade a big asset like it would take Sakaski with Cooley to get someone. I don't think they would go there, guys. I think they would maybe get a transition players where he's going to be there for 1 or 2 years with the Montreal Canadiens, and that would be the way I see that. On my opinion, for Marco, I think for me, and my video is going to be out tomorrow, so I cannot pronounce this. I cannot announce it yet. But I did a video, Marco, is going to be out. This is the first time I did that concept. So watching this tomorrow will be out at 7 a.m. Tomorrow morning, guys. Montreal Canadiens, do we trade or not for a second center? But I will stop here. I cannot mention that one over there. So
yeah, we've been talking about it since the summer. That remains the biggest burning question that we have, right? And
yep.
there are different options out there. Like we called it, coach. Like we were thinking, okay, you know what? We're going to wait until early to mid-November to see which teams that are falling out. Unfortunately, almost all the teams are at 500, right? So we're not seeing many teams drop out yet. So it might be a bit longer. But Elliot Friedman talked about it today on a Morning Cup of Coffee podcast. That there's no question in his mind that Montreal is going to go and they're going to try to get the best second line center they can. There's no doubt in his mind that's what they're going to do. Now, is it a transitionary guy like a Nazem Kadri, like
I give you some name, Marco. Kadri, Dano, Zaka, O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more. Can you remember? Do you think you would go that direction or not?
I think they probably like similar to the draft, coach. You know how we always talk about they go into the draft with plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. I think that's what they have, right? Like so they have a priority list of things that they would want to do, but they don't want to be left completely empty-handed if plan A doesn't work out, right? So it's been reported by many people that Kent Hughes is calling all over the league and he knows exactly what's happening with every center that's going to become available, right? So I think they have different options. Again, it could be anything from like a Kadri or like a Crosby, like a really good kind of like, well, Crosby's like a different thing. That's a complete game changer, right? But like it could be kind of like a transitionary guy that's in his 30s, all the way to, like I said, like a Dalibor Dvorsky guy that fits more into their young core. It could be anything in that range. It really depends what's available. And
And the costs
Coach,
come with.
yeah, like Ken Hughes has said before, Coach, he's willing to overpay in assets to get what he needs, right?
No,
So
wait. Yeah, I understand that. I'm talking about a transition center, like a 1 or 2 year. I don't think Montreal are going
yeah,
to pay
yeah, they're
high
not
for
going to
that
pay
one.
as
The
much.
player you talk
They're not going to
about
pay.
for
Yeah,
long
yeah.
term, yes. Yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah,
not
yeah.
going to pay as much for like a Kadri as they will for a 21-year-old like blue chip centerman for sure, 100%. So yeah, the price is going to be different for those. Even for Crosby, we talked about it. People, if he gets traded, they'll be shocked at how little Pittsburgh ends up getting for him compared to what people are thinking, right? So we'll see. Like it really depends, but coach, like we've, and this is a good way. Again, the theme of our show here on Hump Day is Montreal getting over the hump. That's why we called it Hump Day. Montreal's still on the hump. So how can they get over the hump? So to tie it all in, we've said this before, and and we were the first to say it on this show, Coach. Like we were saying it, Montreal was past their kind of asset collection phase, and now they're in the roster collection phase. And the
Now,
roster,
great point about that, Marco.
we've been
If
talking
you,
about some plans.
I'm going to ask this question because we're going to finish the show, because the
Yeah.
video will be out tomorrow. But would you willing to pay what it would be the cost to get Randall Riley? For me, or compared to other, Randall Riley is the really one I was looking for. Again, Dano, Kadri, everybody else. But how much, or the people in the chat, are you willing to give to Randall O'Reilly for a period of 2-3 years? Now, both of that and everybody else, this is another level, Marco. It makes sense. But for me, Ryan O'Reilly, Kadri, Dano, they are all 32, 33, 34, 5 year players old. And we know Calgary and Nashville are going to be seller very quickly compared to Zaka. I don't believe will go to Montreal, and I don't believe Kadri it would be what Montreal target. So, how much money you want to give?
Well, so first of all, O'Reilly's on the last year. He has. Is this his last year? He has one
No,
more year
one
left.
more, one more,
Yes, he has one
4.5.
more year. Yes, he has one more year left. So to me, I think, and it's a very reasonable number, right? So to me, Nashville, like it's similar to Crosby in the sense where they're only going to trade him to somewhere he wants to go because they have a lot of respect for him. So they're going to take a little bit less just to make sure that he's in a spot that he is happy with, right? Barry Trotz has said that publicly. So again, the similar to what we were just saying about Crosby, the return that Nashville is going to get for somebody like Ryan O'Reilly is going to be shockingly low compared to what you think it would be. So if you're in Montreal, you might be able to get him for like maybe like an Owen Beck and maybe like a second round pick, or maybe just a first round pick, coach, and like Philip Majar or something like that, right? Like depends what Nashville is looking for in their system, but it's not going to be overwhelming of a price to get Ryan O'Reilly, and it would be very good value. The only thing with him, like it's his foot speed, right? Like he's never been the fastest guy. He's definitely has mileage on him, but he's a very, very smart hockey player, knows where to go. I'm just curious, is it a good mix with Demidov? Like you need somebody that's going to be able to skate with that guy. So I love him for faceoffs, and I think he's a very smart player. Wouldn't mind somebody with a little bit more foot speed than Ryan O'Reilly. But to me, that's what you'd be giving up, coach, is something like that.
What do you give in return?
So I would give in return, like I said, like maybe like a second round pick in Owen Beck is the most that I would do, or just a first round pick. That's it. That's
I
the
want
most
to
I would
trade
do.
a first round pick, but I would consider Strobel, Beck, and a second round pick. When I said and, not said all three together, but I would open up to give Strobel. And the reason behind that, because I'm covered with Engstrom behind that.
Yeah, like to me, Struble, like to me, Angstrom is because we already have so many offensive puck moving defensemen that in terms of the mix of what we have, I think Struble, I don't think Struble is going to be a better defenseman than Engstrom, but I think we need that style of player more than we need Engstrom because
No,
especially
because
if
you
you're
have goalie to pick up that one. So goalie would bring that division there. Strobel will be just out of the lineup slowly because Engstrom will be better. Engstrom is a puck movement, move the puck, play better on the right side of the game. on the right
Where's he going
defense,
to
on
get
the right
if you're
D.
signing if you're signing Matheson? It's like, again, like if you look at how a decor is going to be balanced out, you have Matheson, Dobson, and Hudson that are already puck movers
Yeah.
and like more offensive minded guys. You can't include another one. You need a Struble. I would rather have Struble there, even if he's my seventh defenseman, more so than like I think Engstrom is going to be a better player than him. Like I said, I just don't see how he's going. Where does he go in Montreal's lineup unless you don't sign Matheson?
No, you keep Madison there. You get him like a six defenseman, seven defenseman. You have Jacky there.
Engstrom?
You have Carrier there until you see what Rebecca is going to look like. I think for me, you cannot trade Engstrom. Engstrom he could be better. He could be the. If you talk about all those defensemen, Marco, Engstrom for me is the potential to be a top four in NHL.
Yeah, but where's he going to play, coach? Like you can't. We've talked about this before. It's like you need a mix. Like if you have like if you like it's just, remember people were talking about Zegras before, right? Why didn't Montreal get Zegras? Well, you can't have Zegras because you already have Demidov. So you can't have all the same style of defensemen playing, or else you're not gonna. It's not gonna be the right chemistry. You're not gonna have the right mix of players. So I agree with you that Engstrom is potentially a top four defenseman, but it's just not going to be a fit with Montreal unless you're not signing Matheson. Otherwise, I
I
just don't
understand
see.
your point of view about that, but for me, Engstrom is going to be the next Mike Madison in NHL. And
Okay.
Madison is 32 years old, so at some point,
And
Madison will be out.
don't sign Mike Matheson then. If you're going to do that, then don't sign him because otherwise, like, there's nowhere to put that guy.
But it's
If
too
you have
early
kind
to make Armstrong over Madison. I think for me, Armstrong is going to be a solid player in NHL. I will not give
Well,
up.
when
I
is
will not trade him
eligible for
allowed
waivers? He's going
for
to be eligible for waivers. What, next year, coach? Like, you
who?
can't just Engstrom. He's going to be eligible, and like you're going to eventually lose him if you keep sending him down. You're not going to just keep him
But
as,
he's
as
not
a
get
seventh.
up yet for the. He's going to get. I think he had 2 more years. I believe he came at 20 years old. He came at
I think
21.
I think it might be his last. I have to go here, but like,
Yeah,
we should look into that to see. But
yeah, we'll check
let's
about that.
save that we'll save that debate for next time for sure. But like, it's
All
an
right,
interesting
Marco,
question.
let you go, my friend. Thanks so much for everything. I think it was a great show. I think this is a way to that. Now I learned a little bit more about your stock market, so I'll be a little bit more caution to give you the less player, but I can go on different way. But other fun to do that. So next Wednesday, I think we should be good next week.
Yeah, for sure.
All
Awesome,
right.
guys. Thank you very much. Have a great week. Thanks.
Thank you. Marco Larabi, guys, from Hawkesbury, talking about, of course, the Habs Hump Day show with the hockey coach and Marco Larabi. Hopefully, guys, you enjoyed the show tonight. Like I said, for me, I love Adam Ekstrom. I'm falling in love with Alexander Zarovsky. I'll be honest with you. Michael Edge is getting better. On the prospect side, guys, Valenkin have a great year in Russia on that area. Vincent Rover is starting to get a little bit hot, but the rest is a little bit quiet. Other prospect from Montreal Canadiens, Pickford, you have Mooney, but not much like Michael Edge and of course Alexander Zarovsky. You know already what's going on in Laval, and we'll be running to see what will be the next move for Martin St. Louis and Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon. Don't forget my video tomorrow. I think you're going to like it. A little bit more about the Montreal Canadiens, about what he can do. And tomorrow night, we're going to go back, guys, for another great show of the play-by-play Montreal Canadiens versus the New Jersey Devils. I'm really interested in how they're going to play against a better team. Fun to watch the Montreal Canadiens. Excited to watch the Montreal Canadiens. And we just enjoy to see how they respond night after night. And like I said, my expectation a little bit lower for many of you, but I just love what they are doing so far since the beginning of the season. With this channel growing properly the right way, the only reason it's happening, guys, because we have great moderator, Mr. Nartap, and Ron tonight. RJ Calabo, the news and update. And super chat tonight, of course, of Mark Elliott scored the second goal of the game before Roger Delaney did it. and many others become member like Butch with James and everybody else. Guys, thanks so much to be a part of the show. And the only reason is because you are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. It's because people like Luc Lafortune make that better and better and better. So I can't wait to see all of you tonight, tomorrow night to be there. Now, of course, BYBL find a way not only to dominate your day, but find a way to dominate the second half. Well, someone was said 2025. Thanks again for your likes tonight. Thanks to be with us every single night. And we don't stop. We'll be back again tomorrow and Friday night. We have something for you. Of course, maybe Laval Rocket is at what play this weekend if you follow the CFL. Until then, the Hockey Nation, the Am Nation, and all the animals inside of the kingdom and Thailand want to tell you one more thing. So we love you, friends. Good night, everybody. Thanks so much. Lucky, Marco, thanks again for everything. Bob, Luc Lafortune, Marcel, Mark, sorry about that, Mark, RJ Calabro, One Week Kings, N26, and many other, Garrett, Bob Smith, and in our top early, and who else? PS was there. LDP is in the house. Welcome back, my friend. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. And see you tomorrow night. We are.